AFCON in a week, from laundry, fixing damaged kit, repairing holes, cleaning boots. Then they pack the van and take everything they need off to the stadium, ready for game day. They don't get a lot of help when they get in the ground too. Kitmen are the ones unloading a full squad's worth of boots, kit, medical bags, and all the bits the players and coaches will need between the start of the day and switching off the floodlights at the end of the day. First thing they do is organise each player's kit, make it easily accessible in order to avoid any dramas on match day. Once everything's in the right place, it's into the dressing room, lay everything out, put players' nameplates on the right locker, all the things you don't even think about on a match day. Once the players arrive, if anything needs doing, they call the kitman. In the meantime, it's on the kitman to help set up for the warm-up. The coaches don't always have time to lay out all the cones and put the balls in those weird triangle piles you see. As the warm-up is underway, the kitman then becomes a glorified ball boy, chasing stray shots and passes, making sure they aren't lost in the crowds. They eventually do the tidying up too, getting everything off the pitch before kick-off and assist the ground staff with any last-minute things they may need. After that, it's last call for the players. Then, at kick-off, they can breathe a sigh of relief for a few minutes, sit back and watch the game, enjoy the fruits of their labour. At half-time, check everyone's okay and everything's as it should be, and then wait for full-time. Once the final whistle's gone, it's time to pack everything down, get the stuff that needs to be washed in the laundry, pack up the van, back to the training ground, and ready to do it again next week. Of course, each club differs, and different staff members will have different responsibilities, but we pay tribute to all of those who do it, whether it's the glitz and glamour of the Premier League or a cold Tuesday night in Stoke.
Good morning, 3 minutes past 6 o'clock, Monday, January the 19th. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with Arnold Clark's Real Sale. It's the UK's biggest used car sale, and it's on now. Check out arnoldclark.com. I'm Jeff Stelling, and hopefully up bright and early in sunny Glasgow is Alli McCoist. Morning, Coisty.
Very good morning to you, Jeff. How was your weekend?
Yeah, busy, mate. Very, very busy. You know, in a couple of theatre shows this week.
How did they go?
Yeah, it went great. We went to Exmouth, which I'd never been to Exmouth before. My goodness, what a beautiful place it is. Mind you, it was eventful. You know, people would think midwinter Exmouth, sleepy Exmouth, nothing happens. A dredger managed to pull an enormous unexploded World War II bomb into the harbour, causing the whole of the centre of Exmouth, I mean hundreds and hundreds of people, to be evacuated from their homes overnight. So there were sort of stalls outside, you know, sort of selling all sorts of, not selling, giving away all sorts of stuff from water to, you know, food and things like that for the good people of Exmouth. Made me feel a little guilty that where we were just outside this sort of exclusion zone in our hotel, and made me feel a bit guilty because so many people turned up asking if there was room at the inn, so to speak.
No.
And there wasn't, you know, and I felt, well, maybe I should share my room with some of these poor folk.
Oh,
but it was a fleeting thought as I sipped on my beer.
Yeah, I was going to say to you, most importantly, I'm guessing they defused the aforementioned problem.
Well, I didn't hear any bang during the course of the night, so I guess so. Yeah, so that was brilliant. We were in Swindon on Saturday night, and again that was fantastic as well. So yeah, had a great time. What about you?
Excellent, mate. Just did my usual, never moved. Watched a lot of sport over the weekend. Tell you what, I did watch quite a bit. I watched a bit of the snooker actually, Jeff. Watched a bit of snooker as well. Wilson and John Higgins, good final. Kieran Wilson did the business in the Masters, and then I watched football. You name it, I watched it. I watched. What did I start off with? Well, I started off Saturday, didn't I? The Manchester United, Manchester Derby.
Yeah,
they were impressive. United, very impressive. Fully deserved the victory. I think if one or two of their fans are well entitled to be asking, where has that performance been?
Yeah.
And then what else did I watch? I think I watched the Arsenal game, and then yesterday I had a good afternoon. I watched Newcastle. I watched whatever one was on after that.
Well, you didn't have a good afternoon if you watched Wolves against Newcastle.
Oh, I know.
It was awful.
It was torture.
It was torture, you know. And the next game was Villa Everton, which was a bit better, wasn't it?
Slightly,
you know,
but not massively.
Hey, what about Auchinleck Talbot? Did themselves proud.
They did themselves proud. I'll tell you, 1-0 right up to about 3 minutes to go. They did, and they a couple of wee chances. You know what it's like. They're under the cost. Don't get me wrong. Celtic all the possession as you would expect, but they had a couple of wee chances, particularly in the first half. Of the wee chance, they did themselves proud. It was great. It really was. I watched the whole thing, Jeff. You know, it was a proper old-fashioned cup tie, giant killing possibility. Although you have to say Celtic deserved to win the game, but Auchinleck Talbot, honestly, to a man, they were absolutely excellent. Excellent they were. They really were good. Big fella enjoyed it. He said it was a great day. He said the whole town was there to wave them off and all that stuff. And they took about 4,000 or 5,000, I think, to the rugby park yesterday. So they did themselves proud. It was great.
Yeah. Look, I mean, before we get stuck into it, immediate reaction to a lot of what happened at the weekend. Tony the Welt man on Bognor Beach is a happy hammer. He says, what a great feeling when no ex-player pundits or newspapers gave you a chance. He said, I lumped on. He said, I feel like a dozen oysters and a bottle of Bolly coming up right now. Jill said, morning, Jeff and Ali, ready for the positive Man United talk this morning. Woohoo. Michael, the happy hammer here, saying, just wondering for a change, can you tell Spurs fans to be careful of what you wish for? And Lorraine, who's an Arsenal fan in Norwich, says she's relieved after the weekend's results. She said, I love watching football on TV. I don't scream and shout at the screen when there's a dodgy decision or a player makes a mistake. And so, but what really grinds my gears is the shirt pulling and player grabbing in the box when a corner is being taken. And Lorraine, I think you echo the views of so many football fans there. Look, let's get stuck into it all. The Premier League this weekend. talkSPORT, of course, had you covered.
Manchester United take a 2-goal lead, and on the day that Manchester is at its most divided, it's the red half of the town that looks united.
It's Liverpool 1, Burnley 1, and it's Marcus Edwards who's got it.
Cole Palmer to seal the points for Chelsea, and he fires left-footed.
It is Sunderland 2, Crystal Palace 1.
We feel that we are being abandoned completely, selling our captain one day before a Premier League game.
Meche, who scored in 3 successive defeats in November, he has his 5th of the season. Leeds United 1, Fulham 0.
This is astonishing. It's Tottenham 1, West Ham 2, Callum Wilson, and the pressure on Thomas Frank is going to ramp right up.
Will they see this as 2 points dropped at the City Ground? Forest 0, Arsenal 0.
Full time at Molineux, it's stalemate. Wolves 0, Newcastle 0.
Aston Villa 0, Everton 1. Tierno Barry with his 4th Toffees goal, and it's a massive opportunity missed by Aston Villa.
Yeah, it was an opportunity missed by Aston Villa. We'll come on to them in a moment or two. United, of course, with that big win over Manchester City, certainly weren't flattered by the scoreline. Could have been many, many more than 2-0. Another lacklustre Liverpool performance. Burnley leaving Anfield with a point. Spurs losing at home again. Arsenal stretching the lead to 7 at the top. Obviously, quite a lot of talk about Michael Carrick. And he couldn't have had a better start, and rightly so. What I thought was, when you looked at that game, and you looked at Bruno Fernandes in the heart of that Manchester United midfield and compared him to the City midfielders, it was men against boys. I thought that Fernandes was absolutely brilliant.
Brilliant. As you know something, well, perhaps he's not been brilliant throughout the whole period, but he is without doubt a Manchester United player, I think, that can hold his head high throughout the whole, 18 months, 2 years, whatever you want, period that he's been there. Yes, he's had little bits and pieces where he's maybe upset one or two people. When I say his antics, I mean throwing hands up in the air and all that kind of stuff. But over the piece, Jeff, I don't think anybody can doubt his level of performance and his level of commitment to Manchester United. And I thought again at the weekend he was a different class, mate. I really did. Thought he was superb.
Carl, the Manchester United season ticket holders, weighed in already. And he said, not surprised to hear all that Gabby isn't about this morning. Manchester United win, Villa lose. Manchester is red. Carl, I know it's been a great weekend for you, but let's not get too premature. It is one game, you know. Do it week after week after week, and that's a different matter. And as far as Villa are concerned, of course, that defeat at Howe to Everton leaves them 7 points
wasn't it?
behind. Yeah, it was. Now, after already selling Daniel Marlon to Roma, Unai Emery was asked if PSR is holding his team back.
Yes, but we are performing with those difficulties 3 years ago, 2 years ago, last year, and this year. And of course, I am so happy how we are performing with some play we can have.
But how frustrating is it for you that you can't necessarily, as a club, do what you would want to do in this window to give yourself a great chance of success in the second half of the season?
The same players we had last week, and we were performing very well, and of course we are going to work the next days to try to add, to join some players with us, because we will need for the rest of the season, but with the player we have now is enough.
Yeah, and I get that, Coisty, but 30 games they've played already this season. They look like they're running out of legs, and with the injuries they've got as well. I'm sure there is an explanation for why they sold Daniel Marlon to Roma without a ready-made replacement. I'm sure there is one,
has to be.
But I can't think of what it is.
Well,
right
I'm with you. I am totally 100% with you. Because in footballing terms, I think you are singing from the same hymn sheet. It doesn't. I can't fathom out why you would do it, right? Unless there's a reason, and there has to be a reason, Jeff, because you are without doubt weakening your squad, right? Because 2 or 3 of the games I've watched him, particularly coming off the bench, and I thought he's looked lively. I really do. So, in terms of where Villa want to be, it's common sense. You need the strongest squad as humanly possible. So why would you get rid of a key member of your squad unless you had to, unless there was something else, Jeff?
Yeah.
There has to be, surely.
Yeah, I mean, look, they need reinforcements, don't they? And
unless there's somebody else can come in, in the next few days.
Well, Tammy Abraham is all the talk. That is for sure, But I mean, they travel to Hungary in midweek. Then they've got Newcastle away, who also look tired.
Yes.
By the way, so if they're going to maintain this push for the title, the top 4, they just have to get reinforcements in. And by the way, Coisty, Kevin's just texted and said, how about some praise for a depleted Everton team, Moyes masterclass. Brilliant. And they were probably more depleted than Aston Villa, and they were absolutely
100%.
Absolutely superb.
But, do you know how I would describe that? That's just a Moyes performance and a Moyes result, that. It really is. That's exactly what it is. A tremendous result for Everton.
Yeah.
Really was.
I mean, I thought James Garner was magnificent. And I was standing or sitting thinking, James Garner and James Tarkowski. If David Moyes could create a footballer that he would want to have in his team, it would be Garner or Tarkowski.
Yeah. Epitomises his style, doesn't it? His thinking.
Yeah, completely. And it was Villa got up ahead of steam in the last sort of 15, 20 minutes. It thoroughly deserved Everton win, you have to say. Coming up, we turn our attention to the chaos at AFCON and ask Ali, should Senegal be punished for walking off the pitch when they did? That's next.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We've been taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology. How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
More education for producer Ollie this morning, who had never heard of Robert Palmer.
No, Jeff.
Oh, man alive, you know?
What is going on?
I know. Because, look, it's Dolly Parton's birthday today, but it would have been Robert Palmer's birthday as well. So I insisted, Coisty, that it was... Robert Palmer, he would have been 77 today. Addicted to Love, Simply Irresistible, Bad Case of Loving You, and the list goes on and on and on. He was a boy from Batley, would you believe, who became a sort of sex symbol as the years went on. But
some great songs, Jeff.
Great songs. He would have been 77 today, but we lost him to a heart attack. He was only 54.
Terrible. I can remember it, Jeff.
Mate, absolutely. He was a superstar in his day. I thought I was good at geography at school, so I'm going to blame the time of the day. Mike from Gloucester, thank you very much indeed, pal. You said we were away in Hungary during the week. I didn't realise that the Turkish giants Fenerbahce had moved across Europe. Thanks for letting me know. I am very sorry.
I get them mixed up. In your defence, I've sometimes got Fenerbahce and Ferencváros mixed up myself.
Exactly.
It's an easy thing to do, my friend.
Yeah, and I think once you thought the Rubik's Cube was invented in Turkey, didn't you? Was that?
Somewhere
over that way, anyway.
It was definitely Hungary.
Yeah. Anyway. Look, so Villa away in Turkey, which is even worse in a lot of respects, isn't it, during the course of the week? Yeah. OK, 6:21, let's take a look at today's back pages. And Olivia Bzagler's with us. Hi, Olivia.
Hello, how are you both?
Excellent, thanks. How are you? How's your weekend?
Yeah, it was lovely. Do you know, I had Saturday off and I worked Sunday, and I've decided I don't like working Sundays.
Prefer Saturday?
I prefer working Saturdays and having Sunday doing nothing and sat on the sofa. Yeah. I didn't get back until 6 p.m. and I didn't like it.
Right.
Working a Sunday's not for me. No. Let's take a look at the back pages then. We're not going to go too much into Oliver Glasner and Thomas Frank, but as you can imagine, Frank on the brink is the back page of the Sun, and all hands on deck at Palace. The same as the Star, Frank fight Oliver twist. The back of the Express, Frank in trouble, and Olive branch. Jeff, were you surprised that Palace are maybe backing Oliver Glasner after his comments?
Yes, I am. Yeah. You know, I thought it was inevitable he would be leaving after his comments when he said the club had abandoned them. You know, which is a strong enough thing to say. But hey, hang on a second, you just told everybody you're not staying. You know, so I thought he was criticising from a pretty weak position.
Yeah, absolutely. Frank fight to save his job on the back page of the Mirror, and Glasner in peace talks with Palace. So those stories are dominating the back pages. But what I really want to talk about is the AFCON final. On the back page of the Times, AFCON descends into total anarchy. I could not believe when I woke up this morning to see everything that had happened in that AFCON final. One of the wildest finals you'll probably ever see. Let's just first of all, before I get Jeff and Ali's opinion on it and everything that happened, Alistair Howarth was there, and he's told us a little bit about what happened after everything happened.
There was a lot of tension in the media box. There was a couple guys who got into a scrap. One guy threw a bottle at another journalist who was almost taunting the Moroccan journalists. And then in the press conferences just now, we had Walid Regragui, the Moroccan head coaches. But then as he was leaving and Pat Shaw was coming in, the Senegalese head coach, as he was walking with his daughter. And as the Moroccan press pack was leaving, because they weren't staying for his press conference, they kind of sarcastically clapped at him. That set off the Senegalese journalists, who were obviously furious with that. And again, a bit of a fracas again spilled out between the journalists. And so they ended up actually cancelling his press conference.
Yeah, absolute chaos from the moment that the Senegal had that goal disallowed until quite clearly after when the press conferences were happening. Okay, Jeff and Ali, Jeff, I'll come to you first. Just want to get your thoughts on everything that happened from the goal, from Morocco being awarded a penalty, from the Senegal manager taking his players off the pitch, the Panenka that was missed and everything that's followed after that.
Well, I mean, I think the big question here is, look, the refereeing standards have been appalling during the entire tournament. And, to say the decisions that Senegal were upset by were poor is an understatement. But you cannot accept a team being taken off the pitch under any circumstances. Any circumstances. What sort of precedent does it set? Are they going to do the same this summer during the World Cup? Coisty, I don't know about you. Yeah, it was dramatic. It was amazing.
Shambles.
Things. There should be some sanctions against Senegal. There have to be some sanctions against Senegal. And, Brahim Diaz is getting pelters. How long has he had to wait to take that penalty? I know it was a ludicrous thing
20
to
minutes.
do. But it just can't be allowed to happen. I don't know what sanctions, because, the game is over, done and dusted, and they got the trophy. But it was an absolute disgrace,
Shambles, there's no excuse for it.
Apart from Sadio Mane.
Yeah.
Who absolutely covered himself in glory.
Yeah.
He really did. And, I heard one of the lads saying, I think it was one of the news reports there, that he probably saved the whole situation. Yeah. I don't think it's maybe too far to say that he might have just done that, Jeff.
Yeah.
But getting back to the point, yes, you're right. You cannot leave the pitch. The only time you can leave a pitch if it's safety reasons or whatever it may be, you cannot do that. And they were victim to some poor, really poor decisions from the officials. But you can't do it, mate.
No.
Walked off the pitch for 17 minutes. It was just an absolute shambles, mate. Absolute shambles. And the whole thing, I mean, to be honest, I don't know where you are with Jeff. I agree with you. Something has to be done. There has to be some form of punishment. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it will be. But something has to be done. But Sadio Mane, I mean, it's a laughing stock. Just about finished the whole tournament for me. It's probably just been saved, but just saved and no more by the antics of Senegal leaving the pitch, man. Absolute shambles. It really was.
Yeah, it does. It devalues the whole tournament. And it's Senegal have probably been the best team throughout the course of the tournament. Well, I mean, I've never seen anything like. I would hope, and look, I know where my phone was going crazy with people saying, "Are you watching this? Are you watching this? Are you watching this?" And it was because it was so unusual, something you'd never seen before. I was glued to my TV screens like everyone else, but in the cold light of day, you have to think it was just disgraceful.
It absolutely was. The whole thing was a complete mess. Ali, Brahim Diaz's penalty. What did you make of the attempted Panenka?
All of it. It's really simple, and I've said it for as long as anybody can remind me. You only get away with that if you score, and that's it in a nutshell. If you don't score, it looks diabolical. Diabolical. If you score, you get away with it, and everybody says, "Well, look at that. That was fantastic and great." I'm not a fan of it at all. It's just I wouldn't be doing it. You know what I mean? Because of the opportunity. See what happened last night. I mean, he'll live with that now for the rest of his life. There's no doubt about it. Just go up, put your foot through it. If he saves it, great. That's one of these things. If you score, fantastic. It just looks absolutely shocking. And I'll repeat it. It's an obvious thing to say. You only get away with that if you score.
Yeah, but he had, as I say, 20 minutes to think about what he was going to do, and God knows what was going through his mind. Lee says, I think Senegal had to do something to highlight the crooked activities that took place with the officiating. It wasn't Morocco's first rodeo for benefiting from hometown decisions in this tournament. And I get that, Lee, but, you know, you simply cannot.
The game's bigger than that.
You cannot, take the team off the pitch, you know, at any stage. And if you do, to be honest, I think you should forfeit the match, you know.
Do you think there's is this something that should happen after? Because obviously they weren't happy with both decisions, the disallowed goal and the penalty.
And rightly so, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But, you know, somebody else, look, Danny's texted here and said, Jeff, maybe Unai Emery should have taken our players off when James Garner pushed over Morgan Rogers and should have got his second yellow card. You're absolutely right, Danny. I mean, it was one of the clearest fouls I have ever seen in the history of clear fouls.
However,
you know, you have to get on with it, no matter what your sense of injustice is. Olivia, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks,
Very
Olivia.
welcome.
Coming up, we'll take a closer look at what's going on at Manchester City. A terrible performance against United. Does Pep deserve more criticism than he's getting? We'll discuss that next.
Corinthian Casuals are a team in the Combined Counties League Premier Division South. Despite that, they're one of the most important clubs in world football. Here's why. The club was formed in 1939 as the result of a merger between Corinthians FC and Casuals FC. Now, Corinthians FC were founded in the late 1800s when the FA's top brass were absolutely sick of getting pumped by Scotland every time they played them. As a result, Nicholas Lane Jackson set up an amateur side which would bring in the best players who could all play for the national side. And it worked. It wasn't long before England were dominating the international fixtures they played, and it was largely down to Corinthians. In fact, in 1894 and 1895, they played consecutive games where Corinthians provided the entire England 11. But the thing is, the players refused to play professional football. They didn't believe in it. They wanted to spread the values of sportsmanship, competition, and played for the love of the game. It also helped most of the players were Oxbridge graduates who didn't need the money, but instead of entering league and cup competitions, they played exhibition football and toured the world, bringing the beautiful game with them. Think of it like the Harlem Globetrotters of football, and it was this which spread the game throughout the world and made it so popular. Most famously, in 1910, they travelled to Brazil, and the locals in Sao Paulo were so impressed they started their own team under the same name. Yes, the same Corinthians who won the FIFA Club World Cup in 2021, one of the biggest clubs in Brazil.
Good morning, 6:33. This is talkSPORT Breakfast. I'm Jeff Stelling. Ally McCoist is with me. Ryan's texted, said, I'll tell you what, if Senegal feel they're being massively targeted by the referee, you want to try being a Coventry fan. We're denied a blatant penalty almost every week. And an unnamed texter says, can Jeff explain why we have to get on with it? This isn't do as you're told and go and sweep those chimney days. They're long gone. It's take a stand days now, and football needs people to make stands. Well, I'll tell you what, yeah, I can explain why we have to get on with it to our texter there, because you cannot have anarchy. You have to have rules. If people feel they've been hard done to, take their teams off the pitch every single time, then football as we know it now will not exist. Right, it is day 2 of the Australian Open. Will Hobbs is watching for talkSPORT.
Yes, I am, Jeff, and it's Jacob Fernie, the British number 3. He's facing set point in the second set, having lost the first to the Pole Matchak. Earlier on in the day, Coco Gauff and Amanda Anisimova both went through to round 2. Later on, we've got Iga Swiatek at 8 a.m. She's going for a career Grand Slam in this tournament, and Novak Djokovic after her. But in this match, Jacob Fernie has now gone 2 sets down to the Pole, Cami Matchak.
The Australian Open update on talkSPORT with TNT Sports. Stream every set live on Discovery Plus or watch TNT Sports channels on EE, Sky and Virgin Media. Subscription required. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Right, let's turn our attention now to Manchester City and ask the question, could Pep Guardiola's time in Manchester be coming to an end?
And it's an awesome foursome for formidable Manchester City as Kyle Walker lifts the trophy into fittingly sky blue Mancunian skies, retaining the title in 2024.
I don't know how long Pep Guardiola stays at Man City. They're a good side, and they're a side that's really got itself together from the falling off the cliff of last year, but we still think, most of us think, the conventional wisdom thinks Arsenal are going to win the league.
Old Trafford roars like it hasn't in years. Pride restored, belief rekindled. The blue moon fades into the shadows. Manchester United have beaten Manchester City by 2-0.
They've played 22 games, they've lost 5. They're not going to do a 12-game winning streak.
Yeah, Manchester City, they have lost 5. When they won the title in 23-24, they lost 3 games all season. 7 points behind Arsenal, Coisty, not 1 in 4 Premier League games. Do you feel they are going backwards?
Oh, there's a question. I feel they're going... do you know what I think, Jeff? I think they're having a run of results that clearly aren't as bad as that run they went on last year, which was nothing short of remarkable. But they just don't have the same fear factor, I don't think. I look at City, they don't... You know, that period when they went through the games, Jeff, and they just looked effectively unstoppable. And you just knew... You know, no matter what City team you were playing against, they were going to get chances, they were going to score goals. They were like a well-oiled machine. That has gone. That invincibility has gone. I think the fear factor has definitely gone. What have they drawn? 3 and lost 1 of their last 4? Certainly not title-winning credentials. I would be loath to write them off. This is a man that has gone for Arsenal to win the title, but I would still be loath to write them off just because out of all the teams in competition to Arsenal, they are the one that I think that could go on a run. Do I think they'll go on a run and come back and win the league? No, I don't. But they've definitely got problems.
Yeah.
I thought the level of performance was clearly the result's the most important thing, particularly in a derby game. You want to win the derby game. But I thought the level of performance was really concerning, Jeff, at the weekend. I really did.
Well, it could have been 5 or 6, let's be
Correct.
honest. You know,
Correct.
Donnarumma was City's best player.
Absolutely. And very fortunate to get the Mason Mount goal disallowed. And Manchester United probably put in, if not the best performance of the season, one of their best performances. But from City's point of view, I think the manner of the defeat would certainly concern Pep.
Yeah. I mean, Leah, City fan, has texted, said, does Pep deserve more criticism? Couldn't be more opposite. He doesn't get enough respect. Shocking performance from the team, but Pep called it exactly as it was straight after the game. He also has to see the longer game in this. It's a full squad rebuild. And personally, I think Pep gets huge respect from absolutely everybody.
Yeah.
But I have to ask the question, Coist. You are 2-0 down in the local derby. You've got 10 minutes to go of normal time, plus added time, so you've probably got 15 minutes to go.
Take Haaland off.
He takes off Silva, Doku and Haaland.
Yeah.
I mean, that was waving the flag of surrender, wasn't it? 15 minutes to go. It's always possible that someone like Haaland can change the game in that time. I didn't get that, did you?
No, I thought it was bizarre, mate. That's where I was with it. I saw it and I looked at it myself right on the 80-minute mark, 10 minutes to go. You pull one back, you've still got an opportunity. I certainly would not be taking arguably the greatest goal scorer in European or world football at this moment in time off the pitch. I wouldn't be doing that. Jeff, you don't know. There might have been a wee niggle. That's the one thing you got to say. But it's a really, really strange decision. I'm with you 100%. You don't take your biggest goal scoring threat off the pitch when you lead a goal. So, yes, I'm with you, Jeff. I think Pep gets the praise that he deserves, and he should, because he's been nothing short of fantastic. However, I think you and I and people like us and supporters are well within our rights to question one or two decisions, and I would certainly be questioning that one at the weekend.
Yeah. Lee, during his text, talks about a total rebuild, and I get that, Lee, completely. I mean, they've spent, £414 million since January the 1st of 2025. But I have to ask the question as well, Coisty. Look, they had injuries. We know they had injuries. Guardiola and Diaz and
yes.
So. But let's look at the recent signings. Cherki, Reinders, Ait-Nouri, James Trafford. None of them started against Manchester United. Does that tell you that Pep has no real faith in the rebuild at the moment?
You could argue it does, yeah. I'm not so sure it does, in the respect that I think he's built a squad the same as Arsenal, where they are kind of, the substitutes are like for like, Jeff. The majority of teams, their bench will not be as strong as your starting, your opening 11. But I think with teams like Arsenal and City in particular, you can look at your bench and make a case of certainly not weakening it when you make substitutions. I mean, he played Bernardo Silva. He likes Bernardo Silva in his big games. I think Cherki is one of these match-winning guys that win you a game as well. I really do. I'm a wee bit surprised, stroke disappointed that he didn't start the game. Now, I think it's probably taken that step too far to say that he doesn't believe himself in his own rebuild at this moment in time. I wouldn't go as far to say that, but I do take your point. To a football fan looking at it, it would be surprising not to play your key signings. I get that. The one thing they do look, and I know they kept a clean sheet the other week there, I've always thought that recently there's been a vulnerability at the back, Jeff. They really, really have. And I'm watching it against United, and United are going through them far too easily. I mean, United played well, and it's, as I say, it's the best I've seen them in a while. But at the same time, it's still, for all the talent that Manchester City have, it's still too easy to play through them. And the key one, and the obvious one, Rodri's nowhere near back to the player, the brilliant player that he once was.
Yeah, completely agree. Reg says, did you even watch the game, Jeff? Haaland was awful. The man needs a rest. You know what, Reg? I did watch the game, and I've seen Haaland many times when he has been awful. And then goes and scores once or twice or 3 times. And Reg also points out Ait Nouri had just come back from AFCON. And I take that point, Reg. So had Brian Mbeumo, so had Amad Diallo. And they were 2 of Manchester United's best players. Do you think there is any evidence at all, Coisty, that Pep might have had enough and might be contemplating his future?
Yes, as the answer to that question. You know, I look at him on the sidelines, and he still looks as invested, as hungry, as motivated, but he has been there a while now, Jeff. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Fair play to him, you know, because it does need a rebuild, and he's going to have to be totally committed to that rebuild. And answer your question, he must be thinking, do I need a rest? Have I had enough? Can I rebuild this club again? Can I take them back to where they've been? All these questions will be going through his head. There's a lot, listen, and I know that people will say finances and all that stuff, but there is a lot of strain on him every week to produce a winning team for Manchester City. Sometimes you do need a rest. It'll be going through his head. Put it this way, Jeff. You asked me the question. The answer to the question is I don't know, because nobody knows apart from Pep himself. But my answer to you would be it would not surprise me.
I mean, obviously, you know, they brought in Semenyo, they're bringing in Guéhi as well. So the rebuild goes on, and that would give, you know, real hope to... 2 great signings as well, it has to be said. I completely agree. Potentially, at least, 2 great signings. I wonder... as well, whether the 115 charges, the never-ending saga of the 115 charges, the never-to-be determined, it seems, saga of 115 charges is weighing heavily on Pep as well.
What do you, I mean, I like watching, I must admit, I like watching coaches and managerial behaviour in the dugout. And you get guys like Pep, and then you get guys like Eddie Howe. Everybody's different, you know. Absolutely, everybody's different. And I'll be honest with you, Jeff, I don't see a change in Pep. I really don't. I watched him, like say Newcastle and things. I'm watching the games, and he clearly still looks as motivated, as I say, as invested as he's ever been. But there does come a time. There has to come a time in any coach's or manager's mind that says, I maybe need a rest, I maybe need a break. You know, have I taken this team as far as I can take them? All those questions. And he will be asking himself those questions, because that's the one thing he does. He always wants to bring the best out of himself, and he always wants to test himself. So, as I said, I'll repeat it, it wouldn't surprise me, but only he knows.
Yeah. Darren says, morning, gentlemen. I have the perfect solution. If Pep is thinking about leaving at the end of the season, I know Palace are going to be looking for a manager. Darren, thank you very much. Indeed, a few problems then for Pep at Manchester City. It is worth pointing out, as well, as Billy texted a moment or two ago, Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw, come and give them a shout out. Brilliant on Saturday. Could they not be an outside shout for the World Cup squad experience and quality? I think with England's issues in the centre of defence, that Harry Maguire would not be the worst shout at all. Not so sure about Luke Shaw, but they did play well, as did United, pretty much to a man at the weekend.
Great performance.
Yeah, it was. They were excellent. Right, still to come on breakfast.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. Download the new improved app to easily manage your accounts and quotes.
Tottenham fans, yep, it's you again. We're taking your calls this morning. Thomas Frank is reported to be on the brink of the sack. Should he get more time? 03717 2233 44. All the very latest on Thomas Frank's future coming your way after 7. And that was our breakfast preview with Travis Perkins.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. Get free next day track delivery. Head to travisperkins.co.uk or download the app.
and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We've been taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology. How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it, Biggs.
Good morning. A lot of reaction to our chat about Pep Guardiola there. Tony says Pep looks like he needs a rest. The intensity he manages with must be exhausting. Darren says ever since Rodri got injured, Man City have been inconsistent. Can't be a coincidence. And Conrad says, good morning, Jeff and Ali. I can see Pep being the next England manager. I don't think he'll do Spain for regional reasons. You have to remember those charges hanging over the club. This could be wearing Pep down. What else do we know this morning? Crystal Palace have decided reportedly that they won't be sacking Oliver Glasner despite his outburst against the board on Saturday. The Moroccan coach has called Senegal's actions in the AFCON final last night shameful, and Ali's one step closer to the Super Bowl as the LA Rams beat the Chicago Bears in overtime last night to reach the Final Four. If you want to join Ali out at the Super Bowl, listen up, because talkSPORT is giving you and a friend the chance to experience it live. You've got until Thursday to enter for the chance to win tickets to the Super Bowl on Sunday, February the 8th. Return flights, 3 nights accommodation and spending money.
And most importantly, I've not cleared it with Viv. Now, in just a few weeks, you could be soaking up the Super Bowl atmosphere, Jeff, and exploring San Francisco. Here's how to enter.
For your chance to win, text the word WIN to 83338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate.
Or indeed call 0343 418 7260. That's 0343 418 7260. Lines close this Thursday, 2026 at 4 p.m. That's when, of course, you will need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus, UK residents only.
This is a network promotion. Full T's and C's at talksport.com. So for your chance to win, text WIN to 83338 now. Right, it is time now for this.
How can you not love the EFL when it throws up moments like this?
Here's Hawk! Oh, it's come back to Zamora! It's tick off again! City fans can't believe it. What a match! Windass! Quite simply destined to be from Team Windass.
We're in London. Hey, we're in London, aren't we?
Leeds can beat you 4-1. They're a fantastic team. But we had someone in the bushes that day twice this season now.
No sirve para nada.
I didn't know I would have such a reaction.
That ghost didn't head one in on Saturday. We didn't defend properly, you great chicken nugget.
We hear that Jimmy Glass, the goalkeeper, has scored for Carlisle.
You just never know which twist any game is going to turn next.
Must I for
Right, I'm going to can review this pretty quickly because time is against us. In the Championship, top 5 at the weekend, Coventry, Borough, Ipswich, Millwall, Hull, all won.
Yeah.
Big win at the bottom for Norwich at Wrexham. They stay in the relegation zone. They're just a point behind Blackburn now. You're worried
Massive
for
one,
Blackburn. Yeah. Rovers lost 3-0 Ipswich. They've just won 1 of their last 11. I mentioned a Wrexham, by the way. James McLean has left the club to rejoin his old club, Derry City. In League One, Huddersfield lost 3-1 at struggling Burton and immediately sacked manager Lee Grant, even though they are in the playoff spots. And Koisi, I don't know if you saw this, one of the most amazing, astonishing, eye-opening own goals.
Oh, my goodness.
Just incredible.
I've never seen anything like it in my life.
I have. This is Stockport against Rotherham. Okay, the Stockport goalkeeper, Ben Hinchcliffe's got the ball in his hands. He tries to launch it upfield quickly, and he only succeeds in smacking it into the backside of his own defender, Joe Alowo, and then watches the ball float back off Alowo's backside, over his head, and straight into the net for a truly astonishing own goal.
Jeff, I've never seen anything like it in my life. And a little bit like Diaz's chipped penalty.
Yeah.
The goalie got away with it because they won the game. It was absolute madness, wasn't it?
I saw a headline on some media outlet, I can't think of who it was now, saying, who was to blame for this goal? Well, it wasn't poor Joe Alowo and his backside, was it?
Jeff,
he knew nothing about it.
Jeff, I could not believe it because I saw the same thing myself, and the question was, who was to blame?
Yeah.
Who do you think's to blame?
That was unbelievable, wasn't it? Yeah. Mansfield and our mate Nigel Clough, by the way, you see they won again against Port Vale at the weekend. 5 wins on the bounce now.
Did it finish 3-0? It was 3-0 at one point.
It was 3-0 it finished, yeah. League 2, the bottom club Newport. You've got a feel for them. 4 wins in 25 they've got. They led 2-1 at Gillingham going into added time. They then conceded a 91st minute penalty and then lost the game in the 99th minute, 3-2, which is absolute agony. And I got to mention, it's not EFL, but I'm going to anyway. Start of a new era at my place at the weekend. The new American owner, Landon Smith, was in Hartlepool to watch the first home game under his reign. It was a fantastic day.
Dodgy late penalty, Jeff. Come on now, let's get to the crunch. Dodgy late penalty.
No, never mind that.
Come on, Jeff.
Great display beforehand. Fireworks, the lot. Not so many fireworks on the pitch, where a clear-cut penalty decided the issue. No, it was a very dubious penalty, shall we say that? But you know what? Dubious penalty. Credit to Altrincham. They didn't walk off the pitch.
Exactly.
They stayed on. And credit to Alex Reid, who took the penalty. No Panenka. Shove it in the corner. Hartlepool win 1-0. And the new era is hopefully underway. We're at home to Gateshead at the weekend. The bottom club at the weekend.
Could I say something, Jeff, on that?
Yeah.
Mate, I'm looking at that league. Absolutely different class. I think there's 6. You tell me I'm wrong. Is there 6 points between the top 6?
Yeah, it's tight. The top 6, they're clear. The top 6 are clear at the moment. Realistically, teams like Man, we're looking at 7th at best. That's a playoff place in the National League. But the top 6 have dominated, and it is incredibly tight at the top, and some big former league clubs doing battle there as well. I just want to mention while we're talking about this, and I'm going to embarrass him now, that there were some football awards last night on behalf of the DEC. There were the 2025 Football Creator Awards. And to show you the standard of it, for instance, the Premier League Journalist of the Year was Henry Winter. The National League Journalist of the Year was one Robbie Stelling. So,
no way.
Yeah. He didn't even tell us that he was up for it, that he'd been nominated.
Well done, Robbie.
So well done, Rob. We're very, very proud of you indeed.
That's brilliant.
Well done, Henry, as well. But we're proud of you too, mate. We're proud of you.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Thanks very much indeed, Coisty. Just a reminder, whackers on your smart TV. Shortly we'll be revealing Alli taking a Panenka penalty. Did you really? Despite saying you would never do one. We're on Samsung, LG, Apple, Prime Video, and many more. Wherever you're watching, we will be there. Can't get rid of us. Coming up, Spurs fans, is the pile-on for Thomas Frank fair? Or is it about time your players started to take some responsibility? 03717 223344 is the number to call, and we'll discuss that next.
What's your club or country's sliding doors moment? Its meaning originating from the 1998 rom-com of the same name, a sliding doors moment in football terms is simply a question of what might have been. An incident in a game where, had it gone the other way, would have altered history. For example, say John Terry had scored that penalty in Moscow in 2008. Chelsea would have been European champions and Avram Grant would have the biggest medal in continental club football to his name. It stands to reason then that he would have stayed at Stamford Bridge for a bit longer, meaning that Luis Felipe Scolari wouldn't have got a look in. Would he have done better than the World Cup winning Brazilian, who only lasted till February the following year? And could he have improved upon Chelsea's third-place finish? And as for United, who won the title that season, would defeats in that Moscow final have led to Cristiano Ronaldo leaving the club for Real Madrid a year earlier? And would that have meant that Rafa Benitez's Liverpool won the Premier League instead of them? That's a pretty big butterfly effect, all from one missed penalty kick going the other way. And if you want to dig a bit deeper, there's plenty more that could have been affected. What if Anthony Knockaert had scored his penalty against Watford? We'd have been denied the Troy Deeney moment, sure, but might Leicester have gone on to win promotion to the Premier League earlier than scheduled? And would that have meant that Claudio Ranieri would never make it to the King Power? Would Arsenal or Tottenham, therefore, have been champions in 2016? The most significant sliding doors moment perhaps ever, though, was Paul Gascoigne, Wembley, June 1996. What if this had gone in? That golden goal would have sent England to the Euro 96 final against Czech Republic. 30 years of hurt could well have come to an end. There's so many of these moments that could have altered destiny forever. What if Shearer had signed for United? Would Lampard's ghost goal against Germany have kick-started England's World Cup back in 2010? What if Sam Allardyce didn't get bogged down in all that controversy and denied Gareth Southgate the England job? Does make you think.
Good morning, 7:05. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with Arnold Clark. Save on your next car in the real sale. It's the UK's biggest used car sale. I'm Jeff Stelling. Alli McCoist is with me. On the way for you this morning, former Premier League ref Chris Foy will talk about the decision not to send Diogo Dalot off in the Manchester derby. Former Palace player and first-team coach Shaun Derry will give us his thoughts on Oliver Glasner, and we'll react to all the fallout from another huge weekend in the Premier League, including Spurs losing at home to West Ham, as that left Thomas Frank on the road to the sack.
Send it down the middle, he squares it to Pedro, it's 1-0 to Chelsea!
Van der Ven and the Jets bench. You're Thomas Frank, the way that he looked round, it was a lack of respect.
He set up with a back five, Thomas Frank. I think it's been really negative, and ultimately they paid the price.
I think it's pretty evident that if no one gets the time, no one can turn this around. This is not a quick fix.
Bournemouth 3, Tottenham 2.
Van der Ven comes over and he's calling a fan out for a fight.
And it's yet more home disappointment for Thomas Frank and Spurs.
He didn't quite understand the size
of the job.
With a fan base, with a stadium they've got, it needs to be better.
This is astonishing. It's Tottenham 1, West Ham 2.
The chant around the stadium a few moments ago, sacked in the morning.
Can you tell me if they're a pressing team? Can you tell me if they're a counter-attacking team? Are they difficult to break down? They're none of those.
There's a lot of things and changes going in the right direction. We are in transitional season with a supertanker we're turning around.
A lot of reaction already to Tottenham. Peter said Spurs have a mid-table squad managed by a mid-table manager. Where are we in the league? Andy says, greetings from Shanghai, Jeff. Morning, Andy. I'm not sure what time of the day it is there. Spurs players need to up their game. I really thought Frank could turn things around. It's the players who need changing. And Anthony says the players are not interested in Frank's style of play and boring tactics. He has to go. Well, maybe those players should take some responsibility themselves, Anthony. Look, let's get the view of a Tottenham fan who's given us a call on 03717 223344. It's Jonathan. Morning, Jonathan.
Good morning, Jonathan.
Morning, chaps. Great show.
Thank you, mate.
Older for 41 years. This is one of the worst I've seen. But I think the biggest problem we've got is too many Spurs fans are absolutely deluded, thinking we've got some divine right to be challenging. And actually, Tony Cascarino made a good point on Saturday. We've got the best stadium in the world. We've got the best training ground in the world. It's like having a Formula One car, but letting Mr. Magoo drive it, putting gravy in instead of petrol. And the problem is, unfortunately, is that our recruitment is terrible. We've got a CEO who got fired by Arsenal, a head of recruitment that got fired by Villa, and the most Spursy thing of all is we sell Brennan Johnson and we buy Conor Gallagher. And that tells you all you need to know about us. And if we want to really get there, it comes down to one thing and one thing only, paying top wages. Because you can't blame anyone, especially players, because they have a short career, for going somewhere that's got ambition and that will compete.
Yeah. Look, points very well put. Indeed, Jonathan. Thank you very much indeed for that.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Let's move on and get more on Thomas's Frank's future with reporter of The Athletic, Jack Pitt-Brook. Morning, Jack.
Good morning, Jack.
Morning, Jeff. Morning, Ali.
Look, Jack, they've tried Pochettino and Conte and Mourinho and Ange Postecoglou. When will people start to accept that maybe it's not the manager who is the main problem at Tottenham, or do you think that it is?
I think in this case, it is the manager. I think that Thomas Frank is not really... I don't think he really fits the challenge of managing a club the size of Tottenham Hotspur. I think there's lots of examples in recent years of fantastic managers who've taken a step up to a huge club and they've not quite been able to make it work. I'm thinking of David Moyes at Man United, Roy Hodgson at Liverpool and so on. So I think Thomas Frank has really struggled. But I also think the Tottenham job is a really hard job. It's a really, really hard job. It's particularly hard at the moment, given all the changes they're going through. And Thomas Frank has just failed to get his arms around it, basically.
Jack, tell me, you say he doesn't fit, and he might not fit. He's certainly looking as though he doesn't fit. But looking at that illustrious list of managers that they've had, and there have been some brilliant coaches, whether you go to Mourinho, Pochettino, Conte, they won a European trophy with Postecoglou. Who does fit?
It's hard to say apart from Mauricio Pochettino. Mauricio Pochettino is the only manager, I think, in the modern era who has really understood what the club's about. He's understood the expectations of the fans and the history of the club, and he's found a way of playing which somehow brings together what the fans want, what the resources of the club are able to deliver, and finding a place within the Premier League for Tottenham to play kind of attacking, cutting-edge football. He's the only one who's figured it out. Nobody else has been able to figure it out. But I actually think Frank is further away from figuring out than almost any other Spurs manager I've seen in recent years. He is so unpopular. Even Conte, Mourinho, Nuno at their lowest moments were not as unpopular as Thomas Frank is right now. And so that's why I think they will have to find somebody else to give it a go.
Yeah, I just asked the question, Jack, really, who the heck could win games with this squad? You mentioned exciting attacking football. Up front at the weekend, you've got, Tel, Koulibaly and Odegaard. They are not going to be a huge threat against anybody at all. The recruitment, You know, in recent times, Tell is a classic example. Simons, Odobert, Colomwani, I know he's only on. The recruitment has been atrocious. Surely people other than the manager should bear the responsibility.
Jeff, I completely agree. The recruitment has been really bad. The weird thing about Tottenham right now is that I think their best players are all defenders. Van de Ven, Romero and Porro are probably the only Spurs players who you say could get in other big Premier League teams. And, he's been unfortunate because the two of the three best attacking players last year, Maddison, Kulusevski, Solanke, not one of them has started a single game for Thomas Frank so far this season. But as you say, if you look at the attacking players they put out, whether it's, Tell, Odobert, Colomwani, Richarlison and so on, I don't think they'd look out of place if they were playing for West Ham or Burnley or Leeds or Everton or, a team from further down the Premier League. So I think in that sense, that is a degree of mitigation for Thomas Frank, right? Like the attacking talent he has got at his disposal is just not very good.
How did he turn it around, Jack, in the respect of making Tottenham an attractive proposition for the top players? Because at this moment in time, they're not. Is it as plain and simple down as paying the big wages? Because I don't think it is. I think it's more than that. I mean, I think, you look, for example, whether it's Semenyo or Isak and boys like that, I don't think these top players would be interested, whether they like it or not, in going to Spurs at this moment in time. So how do they change that?
Well, I think they're in quite a good position because they're in London and they've got a great stadium and they've got a fantastic training ground as well. So that gives them a start. I don't think they're going to be competing for Isak Semenyo level players for a while. I think they have to make. I think they're probably better off targeting players who maybe play in different European leagues or younger players, and saying, if you come here, we can be a platform, and maybe you can, if you flourish here, you can go on to great things. And they've got some really good players in the door by doing that. Like Bergvall, I think, is a great player. Yeah. Van de Ven is going to be a great player if he's not already. So they can be an attractive proposition, but I also just think they need to prove that they can play an attractive style of play to match.
Jack, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Jack. Have a good day, mate.
Cheers, guys. All the best.
Be interesting to see if Thomas Frank can survive the week. And Dortmund at home in the Champions League.
It's a strange one, though, Jeff, isn't it? I mean, I've got this list of coaches in front of me.
Yeah.
Talented coaches, and then how many times have we said it? And be careful what you wish for. Postecoglou wins he wins a European trophy. A bit like Moyes with West Ham, big Moyes with West Ham, Jeff. I mean, you win a European trophy, but it doesn't seem to be enough. I don't know. It baffles me, particularly the situation at Tottenham.
Yeah. Reports as well in the press at the moment of player dissatisfaction. Well, I'll tell you what, those players have not earned the right to express dissatisfaction.
Here.
They need to up their game. Blows it. James says he was at the game on Saturday. He said first half, worst standard of football he's seen in 20 years. Can't keep changing the manager. The problem is a lot deeper than that. And Sam says Poch had a prime Kane, Son and Dele Alli. He's not got a magic wand to mount a title challenge with this squad. So lots of reaction as far as Spurs are concerned. I mentioned that Dortmund game, by the way, in midweek, second in the Bundesliga. They've scored in 26 of their 27 games this season. And then, of course, it's Burnley away the weekend. One thing is for sure, Thomas Frank, that's a game that is a must-win as far as he's concerned. Yeah. For more on the situation at Spurs, don't forget to check out the talkSPORT Daily podcast with Majestic and former Premier League boss Alan Pardew. Coming up, we'll turn our attention back to the chaos at AFCON last night. Will Senegal face any repercussions for walking off the pitch after a penalty was given? We'll find out next.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology. How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Good morning, it is 7:20. I knew this would happen, by the way. Jack Pitbrook lit the blue touch paper and stepped away. Trevor the Trucker says, I'd like to ask who this Jack guy is, saying that Tottenham's attacking players would look more suited to a team lower down the league like Everton. I thought that would make the hackles rise. Spurs currently in 14th place, Everton climbing the lead. Another example of Spurs thinking they have a divine right to be successful in the Premier League. And Steve from Essex says, hi guys, Thomas Frank isn't a manager to manage a big club like Spurs. The fella's deluded. Thomas Frank is a good manager. Spurs aren't a big club. Big players do not want to go there. They're a mid-table team at the moment. Thank you very much indeed for that, Steve. Now, carnage last night, wasn't it, in the AFCON final? Senegal and Morocco goalless in injury time. Senegal have looked a perfectly good goal disallowed. Morocco go up the other end and are awarded a very dodgy penalty by VAR. Senegal leave the pitch in protest, with the exception of Sadio Mane. Return 20 minutes later. Brahim Diaz tries a Panenka penalty, which was saved by Edward Mendy. He goes straight into his hands. I mean, I can guarantee you I'd have saved this. You know, I would be the hero. And of course, they went on, Senegal, to get the winner in extra time. Now, on Diaz's miss, earlier, Ali said he would never, ever take a Panenka penalty. Well, the producers have been hard at work. That makes a nice change. And have found a clip of him scoring one seemingly in the 1950s.
Now it's McCoist with a chance to win the tie or win the match for Rangers. The showman, Alli McCoist, he couldn't resist it. Beautifully finished by McCoist. You could tell he enjoyed that to the full. Just look at this.
Alli McCoist, a bit of a cheeky penalty kick at the end there.
Well, I had a wee chat with David there, and the goalkeepers always dive there. And there was no pressure on me because I had missed it. We still had another chance, so a wee bit cheeky, maybe a wee bit.
Well, as you said earlier, Coisty, you know, if you take a Panenka penalty, you have to make sure you score it. You did.
Correct, Jeff. That's all that matters. There was slightly more pressure on Diaz last night, to be fair, in the final of the African Nations than mine in a televised six-a-side event.
Yes.
Did you recognise the voice interviewing me?
No, who's that?
That was Jim White.
Was it?
Yes.
Goodness.
Believe it or not, that was Jim.
I wonder what the tournament was, but
yes.
Yeah.
Not the AFCON.
Yeah, no, but it was superbly executed.
Thank you very much,
wasn't
sir.
it? Look, we're going to stick with the AFCON. Let's turn our attention back to the game and all the fallout from it. I mean, it was a bonkers night in pouring rain, by the way, in Rabat. We'll speak to African football expert Gary Al Smith. Morning, Gary.
Good morning, Gary.
Morning.
Hey, Gary, look. It was carnage. It was chaos, whatever word you want to use for it. But I have to ask a serious question straight away. Will there be any repercussions for Senegal walking off the pitch?
It has to be. And it has to be big, major for Senegal as a team, the fans, and then the coach. All of them going to be not sued, all of them going to be slapped with super hefty fines. And it has to make a statement, I think, yeah.
What sanctions, Gary, do you think will be taken against them? Because we were speaking about it earlier, and as you can imagine, it's been the talk of world football, effectively. It was shocking scenes, really, and we feel something has to be done. What do you think can and will be done?
Has to be big money. I mean, you can take the trophy from them at this point. They are halfway through to Dakar. So you can take the trophy away from them. You can dock them 3 points as well. You know, it has to be monetary, I'm guessing. Yeah. Touchline ban for the coach, maybe for a couple of games.
Yeah. I mean, look, I thought what happened was obviously indefensible from a Senegal point of view. But you have to say that not just on the night, but throughout the tournament, there have been huge questions about the standard of officiating.
Yeah, they have. And it's been incredibly disappointing for those of us who follow this tournament, you know, as keenly as we do. Because the last AFCON, well, everybody and his mother and their mother was saying that, hang on, maybe we should be using African referees for the Premier League. You remember that? You know, it was so good that was the verdict at the time from Cote d'Ivoire. And so I'm not sure what's been put in the collective water, but yeah, this AFCON's refereeing has been problematic. So it's not covered itself in glory, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Gary, tell me, last night's antics aside, tell me your overall view of the tournament as a whole, and do you think the best team eventually won the tournament?
Yes, the best team won. There were two best teams, Senegal and Morocco, before the tournament. So, according to the bookies, 84 to 85% of people predicted that Senegal will face Morocco in the final, and that's what happened. And I was one of that 85%. You know, I predicted those two because you looked at their pathways to the draw, and you know, anybody who had been following them would have given them a serious thought. Eventually, they got there, and I've also predicted that they were going to win. So yeah, the best team won the AFCON. The best two teams were in the final, I think. That's the second question first. Now, the second question to answer will be how good has been the AFCON. Look, these guys could have hosted the Euros with the way they hosted the AFCON. Like, they could have hosted the Euros today. And heck, I mean, if they have to be hosting the Euros next week, they can. They've been ready for a while. And obviously, they hosted the AFCON like this because they want to make a statement to FIFA especially. That, you know what? You see that 2030 World Cup final you are thinking of giving to Bernabeu or us, you probably should give it to us. So that's what this whole thing has been about. And also to make a statement, going forward, like that to FIFA especially, that Morocco is ready to go big time and go big or go home. So that's what it's been about. I have said in other interviews that I'm going to give this AFCON a solid 8 over 10. I mean, look at the quality of pitches. It's rained cumulatively for 2.5 weeks, I think. You know, if you take all the number of years during this AFCON, and the pitch have been as pristine as can be. You know, they've been quality drainage on point. And Morocco have been quick to brag about their new technology and their drainage system, and you know, that turns the water into air, blows it back onto the pitch and all that. So for that, even the players have been raving about it, that we have seen the best teams showcase their best football at every round of this competition. So the best teams went to the round of 16, and the best teams went to the quarterfinals, the best team went to the semi-final, and now we have the best team in the final. That has largely been because the pitches have been good, allowing the mostly European-based players to play the football that they can at their optimum level. So for that, you can't complain at all. Transportation links have been amazing. I've been covering the AFCON since 2008. This is my 8th AFCON, guys. I do not remember any AFCON where the final did not involve a nightmare security situation. From the road yesterday, from the main road to the media center, it took me 12 to 15 minutes. Unbelievable. I did not believe what was happening.
Brilliant.
10 to 15 minutes.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, that's my thought. I mean, they've helped an absolutely brilliant AFCON. Brilliant AFCON.
Gary, thank you so much.
Great stuff, Gary.
Yeah. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, Gary. Thank you. Rob's texted. He says Morocco got what they deserved. As host nation, they should be embarrassed about their treatment of the Senegal team. They should be banned from hosting further competitions. There was a lot of controversy, wasn't there, about the lack of security for the Senegal team and that they weren't provided any proper practice facilities, I think. But having said that, Gary's absolutely right. The conditions of the pitches, generally speaking, during the course of the tournament were a completely different class to what we usually see.
Correct.
Ben texted, the argument with regards to Thomas Frank that he's never managed a big club is misguided. Sir Alex Ferguson only managed Aberdeen before Manchester United. Apologies to Aberdeen fans there, by the way. If big clubs only ever appoint managers who've succeeded at big clubs, then they would never have a manager. Ben, thank you very much indeed. Coming up, we'll turn our attention to Crystal Palace. So it seems Oliver Glasner is staying for now, but what does the long-term future look like for Palace? We'll discuss that next.
Boxing. It's a sport that makes multi-millionaires out of the world's best fighters, but it's not as flush with cash as you'd think. We all see how much the likes of Tyson Fury or Canelo Alvarez make every fight, but that's not the case for those just starting out, or those who aren't even at that level. For example, if you've just turned pro and don't have a promoter, you have to sell your own tickets, cover the cost of the venue yourself, and pay the taxman at the end of it. You might not even break even, but if you do, you're looking at 5 to 10 grand max. A mid-tier fighter might make more like 10 to 50 grand, but you still have to give up half of that in costs. So unless you're fighting for a world title, it's tough to make money. One potential way of doing it, though, is being a journeyman. Here's former European champion talkSPORT's Spencer Oliver explaining how that could work.
They want to fight every week, and they can be going in against the prospects, so they can demand good money, and they might be demanding like $5,000, $10,000 for a 6-rounder or something because they're going in with a prospect. He gets through that, the journeyman gets through that fight, and he can fight again next week.
I mean, even so, it's not much, and you're getting punched in the face for a job. It's only really at the top level, i.e. fighting for titles, where you're earning up to 6 figures and can afford a diamond chain or that Ferrari. So boxing isn't a sport that allows you to retire at 40 and live a life of luxury. Much like a lot of other sports and jobs in general, it takes an awful lot of luck quite early in your career to really make it worth your while.
Good morning, this is talkSPORT Breakfast with me, Jeff Stelling, Ally McCoist and Arnold Clark's Real Sale. There are huge savings to be had on over 20,000 used cars. Immediate response to text read about Aberdeen earlier on. It's Alex Ferguson. Alex Ferguson broke the old firm stranglehold and won a European trophy with Aberdeen, that guy that messaged in as an absolute walloper.
That's a good Scottish one for you.
I've never heard of it. I've never, ever heard of it. Brilliant.
A walloper. Yeah. Brilliant.
Look, let's head off to the Australian Open tennis once again. Will Hobbs is watching for talkSPORT. Will, is Jacob Fernley still out there?
He is indeed, Jeff. He's battling back well. He lost the first 2 sets to Poland's Kamil Maciek, but he won the third 6-3, and now he's a break-up in the fourth, which he leads 3-1. Earlier, there were wins for Coco Gauff, Amanda Anisimova, and Alex de Minaur, but the big shock, Felix Auger-Aliassime, the men's number 7, is out. But Jacob Fernley hanging in there and surging nicely in the fourth set. He leads 3-1, trailing the match 2-1.
The Australian Open update on talkSPORT with TNT Sports. Every set exclusively live on TNT Sports. Subscription required. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Yeah, we'll keep you bang up to date with Jacob Fernley during the course of the morning. Back to football. On Friday, Oliver Glasner confirmed he would be leaving Crystal Palace at the end of the season. But talkSPORT understands that his announcement blindsided the club board, even though Glasner says he informed Steve Parish of his decision in October. On the final word, however, the former Palace player and manager Alan Pardew said you have to show your club more respect.
When you start talking about yourself as the third person, Oliver, like he says in one of his press reports that come out, Oliver Glasner doesn't need, this club, etc., etc. He should show a bit of respect to Crystal Palace.
He said that?
Yeah. So I think I got a quote somewhere. I'll come to it, in a second. But as an ex-Crystal Palace player, I'm not talking about as a manager, as an ex-Crystal Palace player, I was a little bit like, okay, listen, he has done a brilliant job. There's no doubt about that. And that team he played yesterday was a good team, by the way. Don't think he was ravaged by injury. Okay, they are tired because they're in the Europa Conference League in Europe. And I do have sympathy because I've been in that with Newcastle. When I went into it, we didn't have a squad big enough. It really hurt us in the league. We had a terrible year. And he is too. He hasn't won for 10 games this year. They're in their natural position now, Crystal Palace. They had a great start. They're now 13th. That's where they always finish. 13th, 14th, 15th.
But is that good enough as far as Palace and their fans are concerned? 13th, 14th, 15th? Let's get the views of the former Palace captain, Shaun Derry, now. Morning, Shaun.
Very good morning, Shaun.
Morning, Jeff. Morning, Ali.
Hey, Shaun, so look, I mean, it looks like there's an easy truce at Palace after talks between Oliver Glasner and presumably Steve Parish. Are you surprised after what he said that he's still in place as manager?
Yeah, I am actually. I am surprised. I think after the post-match comments on Saturday after the loss up at Sunderland, it was so strong. I mean, it really was. I've heard some comments after the games before, and kind of some hidden messages sometimes come out in these post-match comments. But that was warts and all, wasn't it? It really was. You know, it was fully. His head had fully gone, Oliver Glasner, and you could see, you know, he was emotional. Of course, the result doesn't help. Yeah, it really shocked me, and I was surprised yesterday that the news didn't break. And I'm surprised this morning as well that he's still the manager of Crystal Palace, if I'm honest.
Sean, I was going to say to you, is it surprising there has been a kind of drop in terms of standards, in terms of the results? Because I hate to use the term overachieve, but Crystal Palace have been unbelievable for me in the last 18 months. And then you lose players. Naturally, what happens when you have success and you're not a Liverpool or a Manchester City, your players attract attention. You lose Elise, Eze, Anderson goes to Fulham, things like that. So I kind of expected a kind of decline in the results, if you like. So does there have to be a sort of realistic approach to Palace at this moment in time? You know, we look at big teams like City rebuilding and things like that. Surely Palace can't afford to lose that quality of player and expect to be in the same position.
You're absolutely right, Ali. You know, Jeff just made a great point there. They've probably, you know, they've gone to the most favoured position in the Premier League since they've arrived there over 10 years ago. 12th, 13th, 14th. That's where Crystal Palace have always been. But last year shook it up, didn't it? You know, the FA Cup win, the Community Shield before a ball was kicked this season, got a lot of excitement into that football club. But Ali, you're right. You know, this is a trading club as well. Yeah. You know, you've got to think about the players that have come through this football club over the last 10 years since they've been in the Premier League. And you're absolutely right too. As soon as you get success like that, the better clubs come and take your players, whether you like it or not.
That's right.
So I think you've got to have an acceptance of that when you sign up as the manager of Crystal Palace too, to accept that it's a wonderful football club, an incredible football club. It really is.
Yeah. Oh, we still got you, Sean. Hopefully we have.
Absolute history, legendary status. Hopefully, can you hear me, Jeff?
Yeah, we got you. We lost you just for a moment. We got you back though now, mate. Yeah. What struck me about all of this, you know, to be honest, Sean, was the timing was pretty inappropriate in the sense that Oliver Glasner has accused the club of abandoning the players. And I wonder whether he was in a position to say that when he'd announced that he was leaving a couple of days before, you know, and reportedly told Steve Parish about that in October. So who exactly is abandoning the players?
Well, that's the thing, Jeff, isn't it? You know, them kind of comments are the comments that absolutely astound you as a fan. And there's no denying that. Even if you told the club, you know, before a ball was kicked this season, it gets out. Everything does in football. You know, somebody somewhere will slip that information out, and the players would have got hold of that. And if I just put my players' hat on now, you of course want to build a relationship with your manager, but you are a footballer and you play for that football club, and you've got a responsibility to try as hard as you can week in, week out. And I'm not too sure that line of abandoning the players adds up for me if I'm a Crystal Palace player. I work for Crystal Palace. I don't singly work for Oliver Glasner. So I think your loyalty is to yourself first and foremost as a player, but you obviously, well, I was anyway, I obviously try my very hardest for that football club. So I'm not too sure that sits well with me, that line.
Sean, where obviously the steps will be taking place at this moment in time, but where do Palace find the next Oliver Glasner? Because, you know, all said and done, you know, things aren't rosy in the garden at the moment, but we'd have to accept he's done a fantastic job.
Oh, it's been amazing. Absolutely amazing. Like I said, he'll go down in history as probably the greatest Crystal Palace manager. Of course he will be, you know, to go and win the FA Cup in the manner that he did. But the club moves forward. Of course it does. You know, it's a great football club in the Premier League. There'll be 100 applicants, top level applicants as well, no doubt. And you know, it's a great club, and there'll be loads and loads of people. But when you come into a football club like this, Jeff, Ali, you know that this is the situation that you buy into. You know, you're not going to go and win things and suddenly keep hold of the Mark Gays and all the best players forever and a day. It doesn't happen that way. I'm sorry, but it doesn't happen that way.
Shaun, thanks very much indeed.
Have a good week, Shaun. All the best.
Cheers, guys. Take care.
Tough games to come for Palace as well.
They have.
Home to Chelsea, away to Forest, away to Brighton. Is there any prospect, Coisty, of them getting sucked in at all?
None.
None. Okay.
There you are. Not even messing about, because I knew you were going to ask me that, and I looked at the table, and I just don't think. I mean, obviously, if Gay goes, they'll miss him at the back, but I still think they've got certainly more quality than 3 or 4 below them.
Yeah, I just wonder whether you're going to lose others as well. A lot of talk about Jean-Philippe Mateta, of course, as well. So, look, we shall see. Thanks very much indeed to Shaun Derry. And thank you to Scott in Edinburgh, who's just sent me an explanation of what a walloper is in Scotland, so we won't be mentioning that again. And if you don't know, you'll have to use your imagination.
Just to let Scott know that I knew.
Brilliant. Tom says, I'm not buying the Glasner dummy throwing. He talks about Mark Gay being sold, yet the player told him a year, 18 months ago he wouldn't sign a new contract. And it's worth pointing out, of course, that Mark Gay made it clear he wanted to leave, but Palace kept him really at the behest of Oliver Glasner as well. Right, still to come on breakfast.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. Doing what matters for the trade. Find your local branch at travisperkins.co.uk.
A little later, we'll turn our attention to the problems at Liverpool. That's at around 8:30 this morning. Does the pressure increase on Arne Slot because of the availability of Xabi Alonso? 03717 223344 is the number to call. And we'll bring you the latest from the transfer window. When can Villa expect the arrival of Tammy Abraham? And is he the answer to their issues? All of that still to come, thanks to Travis Perkins.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. Bricks on bricks on bricks. Over 40 million available to order with delivery to site. That's one less thing to worry about.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. Been taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology. How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Good morning, this is talkSPORT Breakfast with me, Jeff Stelling and Ally McCoist. A lot of conspiracy theories amongst you lot out there over management. Steve in Worcestershire says Steve Parish is waiting until Thomas Frank is sacked before sacking Glasner and then can bring Frank in straight away. And Disco Dave in Liverpool says Glasner's announcement was done at this time to let clubs know of his availability this summer. Yeah, I think that's completely correct. He says, I would rather have Slot than Xabi Alonso, and if we did replace him, I'll be looking at Luis Enrique. Not available, though, Disco Dave, not at the moment anyway. What do we know this Monday morning? talkSPORT Breakfast been told that the Senegal Football Federation can expect huge fines for walking off the pitch during the AFCON final last night. Lisandro Martinez has hit back at comments by Paul Scholes and Nicky Butt mocking his size and dared the former Manchester United duo to come to his house and say that. Na, 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 na. Well, it's pitiful, isn't it, Coisty? Come on, it's pitiful.
It is. It really was. That was the perfect response you gave there. It was like 3 wee schoolboys in the playground, wasn't it, really?
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing was unbecoming of Manchester United current players and unbecoming of Manchester United's former players, shall we say.
Not so much of the wee schoolboys, because Lisandro Martinez will be having you round to his house as well.
Hey, he's more than welcome to come up here to my house and have a slice of me. Don't worry about
that. Newcastle started to a goalless draw at Wolves yesterday. Their boss Eddie Howe reflected on another flat performance.
Controlled the game. I was pleased with that aspect of our play. I thought we were good on the ball, but we weren't good enough in the final third, and we didn't create enough for all the possession that we had. So we're disappointed with that aspect, and the chances that we did get, we weren't clinical enough because there was some openings there too.
Yeah, I don't quite know what's happening at Newcastle at the moment, Coisty. Do you? They're showing a lot of signs of fatigue, I think, first of all, which is pretty understandable. When you think that not only are they involved in the Champions League, really, really high-level matches, obviously, Premier League, and they've had this long run, still involved, of course, in the League Cup as well. But it's not quite happening for Nick Voltemada in particular at the moment.
No, I'm watching him. He's one of these guys, I don't know about you, Jeff, I'm willing him to do well. He just looks a great lad, he'd be a great teammate, smashing boy to have about the dressing room. Never question his commitment. You know, I think technically he's actually better than probably he is given a little bit credit for. But he's going to be judged on his goals. You know, that's what strikers are judged on. I don't think he's particularly easy on the eye, Jeff, playing that position. But I do think he'll score his fair share of goals. I genuinely do. Because I think he's one of these strikers that positions himself and he will get chances. But I just think he's kind of synonymous with what's happening at Newcastle at this moment in time. They don't look really on the front foot, full of energy, to tell you the truth. You know, and I think Eddie Howe summed it up kind of perfectly there. I think they did have a majority of the possession, probably slightly the better chances, but there's something missing. And it does look, it looks an energy thing. What they don't get is obviously what they get at St James's, and that's a crowd that will lift them and take them to another level when they're on the road.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're going through a wee period where there's something lacking. Yes.
I mean, I looked at them, and we talked to Nick Voltemade. It's not just his responsibility. Obviously, they've got bags of wit. We know that. But I look at their midfield, and good players in there. But to me, they just lack that little touch of creativity. I know that Bruno can give them that, but Bruno, Tonali, Joe Linton, I don't feel they create as many chances, particularly away from home, as they should do. Now, is that down to the players or is that down to the coach?
Well, I hear you, and I know what you're saying. I mean, I like the midfield. I do. I've got to say, I think it's got a nice balance about it, but I take your point with creativity. You look at Arsenal, whether it's an Odegaard, City, I've got players, whether it's Cherky, boys that can create something, do something different. I do take that point. There's, only a lot of sides, I think, like Newcastle, lack the really top player in the middle of the park that has that creativity. As I say, Cherky would be one, Odegaard would come into it. But Jeff, I do like the balance of the Newcastle midfield, and I do think that's a good midfield. But I do think in wider areas, I think the opportunity to get early balls into the box. They've got good players in wide areas. There's no doubt about it. Barnes and Gordon started yesterday, but there's just something. And I mean, if Eddie Howe can't put his finger on it at this moment in time, I certainly can't either. I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's a little bit of mental or physical fatigue. I mean, they will be fine, because Newcastle, to me, Jeff, I don't know what you think yourself, and I thought they were well beaten in the League Cup game against Manchester City. But generally speaking, in a one-off game, Newcastle would fancy their chances against anybody. I think they would. I genuinely think they would. But looking at them in this league campaign, recent weeks, it's as if it's been a slog more than anything.
Yeah. And the slog is just going to get even more sloggy, if you like, because after PSV this week, they've then got Aston Villa at home in the Premier League, then PSG away in the Champions League, then Liverpool away in the Premier League, and then Manchester City away in the second leg of that League Cup final. And I heard, Eddie Howe, somebody had suggested that maybe they needed to add to the forward line. I know they've signed Voltemade, I know they've signed Wissa, but he was saying that financially that's not going to be realistic. So his hands are tied to a degree. Do you get a feeling that the heat, though, is increasing on Eddie at all?
No, and nor should it. I don't think so, mate. I really don't, Jeff. And I'll reiterate it, nor should it. Newcastle, you ask any Newcastle fan right now, yes, he'll be disappointed with results, because that's what football fans are like. But generally speaking, Jeff, where that club have come from, and I think a little bit like Villa, their hands are tied, to tell you the truth, Jeff. You turn the clock back a number of years and look where that Newcastle team was and where the Newcastle fans were, and that's a reality check. I know they're going through a wee period at this moment in time, but come on, Eddie's doing a fantastic job. The club are in a miles better place than they were, and there's still improvement in them. So, in answer to your question, there's heat on managers all the time. Of course there is. But Eddie Howe's doing a great job for me.
Alexander's text, he said, the Newcastle striker is obviously a good player, but it's not what Newcastle need. They need a proper striker. Who's going to lead the line? Who's going to get their toe in when it counts? Who's going to get their head in when it counts? I think the last word before the next commercial break, though. We should leave on a high, shouldn't we? Lee in Leeds said, all I have to say this morning is, marching on together.
Brilliant.
Yeah, another brilliant weekend. Pressure.
Last minute
we talk about
well.
Heat on managers. Well, I tell you what, there's no heat on Daniel Farke anymore, is there?
No, there wasn't there?
Yeah, there was.
I mean, let's be honest about it. You and I, it seems every Monday morning you and I were discussing his future.
Yeah.
Because when you look at that team right now, man, they're playing for each other, they're playing for their manager, they're playing for their fans. Leeds are flying at this moment in time.
Yeah, they really are. Last word on this actually goes to Greeno. He says, "Morning, boys. I was expecting to wake up this morning to the news that Thomas Frank has been sacked. What's going on? The players are obviously not playing for him. Time to get rid of the nice guy. We lost to West Ham. Nobody does that. And as for our goalie, well, he wouldn't even be up to playing in the Sunday League." Rant over. Thanks very much indeed, Greeno. Coming up, we've had Jonathan, the Spurs fan, on this morning calling the club delusional for their expectations of Thomas Frank. So are the fans' expectations unrealistic? We'll find out next from their former manager, Harry Redknapp.
Aguero, Solskjaer, Deeney, Watkins. Sure, you know all about those last-minute goals, but have you heard the one about the on-loan goalkeeper who saved his temporary employers from disappearing out the Football League and into almost certain financial oblivion? Back in 1999, Carlisle United, managed by Nigel Pearson, were fighting to stay in the Football League. Carlisle's finances were precarious with a capital P that season, leading to a scenario where, with 3 games to go, they had to ask the FA to sanction an emergency loan deal to bring in a goalkeeper. Swindon Town's Jimmy Glass arrived at the club. His efforts in his first 2 games earned the Cumbrians 2 draws. Those vital points meant that Carlisle went into their final game of the Division 3 season, now League 2, needing to beat mid-table Plymouth Argyle in front of their own fans and hope their relegation rival Scarborough didn't win against Peterborough at home. The game at the McCain Stadium finished 1-1, and with the same scoreline at Brunton Park deep into injury time, Scarborough's fans invaded the pitch en masse, believing their Football League status was secure, convinced they'd done enough to stay up. However, there'd be one more plot twist. Carlisle won a corner in the dying seconds, and up came Jimmy Glass. In one of those you couldn't make it up moments, Glass scored from a rebounded header and was promptly swamped by teammates and thousands of fans who quite simply couldn't believe what they'd just witnessed. As for Jimmy Glass, he became an overnight celebrity, but he never played for Carlisle again, and his playing career never really kicked on after that defining moment. He took on various jobs outside of football before finding his way back into the sport as player liaison officer at Eddie Howe's Bournemouth, and most recently the general manager at non-league Wimborne. Not the fairy tale ending to one of the most Hollywood moments in football, but the name Jimmy Glass will live on forever as the scorer of that goal, arguably the most important in any club's history.
Good morning, 8:05. It is Monday morning, January the 19th. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with me, Jeff Stelling, Ally McCoist and Arnold Clark. Save on your next car in the real sale. It's the UK's biggest used car sale. Coisty, there's a bit of concern for you.
Oh, no.
From Chris, the Spurs fan.
Yeah.
He says, morning, Jeff. It's Monday morning, so it's important to check in on your friends. Can we check in on Alli? He sounds like he needs 2 weeks in Barbados. Give the man a break.
Tell him his concerns are much appreciated, but I will survive. I shall survive.
Yeah, you've just had 2 weeks in Barbados, haven't you?
I wish.
Yeah. He says, Chris goes on to say, as for Tottenham, we need players that don't play like they're already on a beach in Barbados.
Yeah, that's true.
Thank you very much indeed, Chris. Lots on the way for you this morning. We'll be finding out if and when Aston Villa fans can expect the arrival of Tammy Abraham. We'll be taking an in-depth look at Liverpool and whether Arne Slot might be feeling extra pressure with Xabi Alonso now available. And we'll continue to review a bonkers AFCON final. And I'll be telling you or taking you through all the runners and riders. No, I won't be. It says here, of the greatest show on telly, Love Island returned this week. I have not watched a minute of it. Not a minute. And by the way, it's Love Island All-Stars. Never has there been a more inappropriately named show. Love Island No Stars. Now, though...
How about Love Island Disasters? How does that sound?
You know, look, my wife and daughter will watch it, but not me. Now, though, whenever a club is in desperate need of a win, there's always one side that's willing to give them the medicine they need.
Dr. Spurs, calling Dr. Spurs, can I have a win now?
There is the full-time whistle. Loud boos ring out here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It is a damaging London derby defeat for the under-fire Thomas Frank.
Will we ever stop being Spursy?
I'm done. Thomas Frank, I want to back a manager, but he is not the guy. He's not the guy. He's not good enough. He's out of his depth.
Even recent weeks, I've seen players coming off the bench and he's talking to the players and they're not looking at him. And I found it really disrespectful from the players.
Losing to a team that's a London rival at home who are, literally third and bottom in the league.
Thomas Frank is far too cautious with this squad. He's very conservative the way he sets it up.
There's a lot of things and changes going in the right direction.
direction. We are in transitional season with a super tank and we're turning around.
It's too big for him. The players don't believe him, and it's desperation measures every time.
I'm bloody upset at the moment. You know, I'll tell you what, bring back Ange.
Spurs, calling out to Spurs.
Another home defeat for Spurs, 2 wins in front of their home fans all season. Being reported the club has discussed Thomas Frank's future. CT says, morning gents, I don't get not playing for the manager. Aren't the players supposed to earn their wages and play for the club, irrelevant of who's in charge? And another one here, Jeff and Alli says Jim and Alli. Never mind. Thomas Frank alienated himself when he used an Arsenal mug. It's like calling your wife someone else's name. He was put in that situation, you know. I mean, it does, in fairness, beg the question, Coisty, what would happen if you called Wee Viv somebody else?
I can guarantee you, I wouldn't be on a job tomorrow morning.
You'd be on that flight to Barbados, wouldn't you, you know? On your own, of course.
Solo. Yeah. Seat for one.
Me too, mate.
Oh, dear.
Look, let's get more on the misery at Spurs, if you like, with someone who's been in the dugout, not just for Spurs, but, of course, for West Ham as well. It's a very good morning to Harry Redknapp. Morning, Harry.
Harry, good morning.
Yeah, Barry, good morning.
Hey, Harry, just before we talk Spurs, let's talk a positive. Well done to West Ham. I thought Nuno got things spot on. Somerville was exceptional. Do you see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel?
Yeah, well, they're in a situation there, Jeff. I only see one other team that they could drag into it, and that's not Forest. I think everybody else is sort of almost too far gone now, you know. So, and Shaun had a great result the weekend with a point against Arsenal. So it's going to be tough for West Ham for sure. But yeah, a little bit of light, and Callum Wilson scoring. I mean, God, they talk about him going. I mean, he's a leading goal scorer. He hasn't played that many games, but when he plays, he scores. I think they need to hang on to him, you know. So that would be. I certainly wouldn't be looking to release him at the moment. I'd look to keep him certainly to the end of the season. But yeah, big result for. I mean, it was really a real loser. Was it banging trouble, weren't they? And it ended up being Tottenham.
It's funny that, Harry, you mentioned that Forest being the only team, because Jeff and I were speaking of it last week, I think I mentioned that was one of West Ham's biggest problems. I was looking above them, and I thought all the teams were capable of picking up points. And I watched Forest on Saturday against the Arsenal, and I thought they did all right, you know, Harry.
Yeah, it did very well. And after that, the teams that we expected at the start of the year, the Leeds, we all talk about Leeds, Sunderland, Brentford, they're gone. They've all been playing fantastic. Leeds are on a great roll. Sunderland have been amazing. You know, Brentford, what a season they're having. So I don't really see anybody else, like you say, that can get sucked back into it now.
Yeah. What about Spurs, Harry? I mean, you know the club. Have their fans always been so hard to please?
I didn't have a problem there, Jeff, to be fair. They were very, very, you know, we had good times and they were great, you know, great atmosphere there. So I don't know, it just seems, you look at the managers they've had since you know, in the last 10 years.
Since you, really, Harry, since you.
Well, I had Poch did great, you know, Poch did great there. And then after that, we've had Conte, we've had Mourinho, we've had top managers that have come in, you know, they come and go. Obviously, the biggest problem is the recruitment's been poor. You know, they're not good enough. They can't keep being the manager. It's everybody who comes in can't get a tune out of them, really. You know, last year, 17th. Okay, they won a cup, but they finished 17th in the league, and they're not doing too much better this year. But the recruitment needs to be. They need to bring in better players, and that seems to be the problem. We can't keep being the manager. It's one after the other that keeps coming and going.
I think you're right, Harry. I'm looking at it, and the squad. I mean, the squad should be doing better. I don't think there's any doubt about that, Harry. But I don't see that squad competing for top four, to be brutally honest with you. No. So what are they going to have to do to attract the better players? Because I mentioned earlier on the show, whether it's Semenyo or Isak, I think they're obviously looking at the Manchester Cities, they're looking at Liverpool's, they're looking at teams that are going to have the opportunity of winning, whether it's the Champions League or the title. What is Spurs going to have to do to attract top players?
Well, obviously, first and foremost, you've got to pay them, Ali, haven't they?
Yeah.
You know what it's like in this game. Agents have players, they want top dollar. if you're not going to meet them sort of wages, you're not going to get the top players. But they keep bringing in, it doesn't mean you have to keep bringing in average players. Last year, the boy Gray came in. I thought he was their best player last year, over the year. Now he's in, okay, he's played a couple of games recently, but couldn't get a kick most of the season again. Play him. You know what you're going to get from him. He gives everything. I don't know. They brought forwards in. I watched them at Bournemouth the other week. I didn't even know they were. I'm looking at a pro. Who is this guy? Who is this? They're average forwards they've got. Solanke's coming back, which will be a plus, But after that, you're struggling. It's no, they've not bought well, which is a big problem.
Should Thomas Frank be given more time, Harry?
Yeah, they can't. You can't keep sacking them, Jeff. Where do you go? Somebody else comes in, and who is there? Where do you find somebody at this time? You go and jump into another situation where somebody comes in. Listen, Ange did great at Celtic, comes in struggling. Now Thomas Frank comes in, does great at Brentford, struggling. As I say, on the back of all the other top managers they've had in recent years, all came in and struggled. So, I think they've got to look at who they buy and how they buy them and who picks them and make sure they're more, they're very selective in who they bring into the club. They need to bring in better players, not necessarily loads of them. When you make a signing, make sure as best you can it's going to be somebody that's going to have an effect on the team. Apart from the two centre-halves, right back does okay. Jed Spence done well. Two centre-halves have probably been their best players, even though Romero's always is a time bomb, but he is a good player. Van der Ven's been excellent. After that, you're struggling a bit,
Charlie, Harry, I was going to say to you importantly, how's your Cheltenham build-up coming along, mate?
Yeah, we're coming good. Jukebox Man's... He's in, Ben said he's great. We're not going to run again before Cheltenham, Alli. We're playing a couple of racecourse gallops probably. I'm there Saturday, Trials Day Saturday, and I've got a nice horse called Taurus Bay runs. He's had 2 runs, he's unbeaten, he's won both times. He goes there Saturday, hopefully with a live chance. So I'm looking forward, I'll be there Saturday. Really looking forward to my day at Cheltenham, Alli. It's my favourite day.
Brilliant, isn't it, mate? Fantastic.
I love it.
Brilliant.
I'm like a little kid girl. I'm excited. I can't wait. I should be up bright and early on that road to Cheltenham Saturday morning.
Fantastic. Well, you have a great time, Harry. And we'll speak to you before the festival as well, I'm sure. So,
all the best,
cheers,
mate.
Harry.
Boys.
Mark says Thomas Frank has a small club mentality. Can't employ Brentford tactics at Spurs. And David has texted. He said, United win the derby. You talk about how bad City were, how bad Spurs are, the AFCON, and how maybe Liverpool could be on the lookout for a new manager. Michael Carrick deserves better. You know what, David? A little earlier on, we talked about how brilliant Bruno Fernandes was, how fantastic Harry Maguire was, and whether he could maybe get a recall. The England team. David, you have to be up with a lark and up with a McCoist if you're going to catch absolutely everything. Coming up, Ali's found a story in the paper that he is desperate to bring us more on. You won't want to miss this.
welcome to talkSPORT Goals. Been taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology. How did you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Good morning, this is talkSPORT Breakfast. I'm Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist is with me. Why are we playing this, Ali, apart from the fact that it's absolutely brilliant?
Well, I know it's roughly 10 years since the great man passed. Is it bang on 10 years?
I'm not sure, to be honest, mate. I'm not sure.
He's one of the greatest
absolutely.
of all time. I'm not sure why you're playing it.
Well, great, because I've got a little piece on my script that says, why are we playing this, Ali?
But do you know something?
And then you're meant to respond and say, well, we're playing this because...
Well, I'm looking at it, right? Because I get sent... The boys sent me some to give you a bit of stick to say that you're in the Daily Star this morning, right?
Oh,
but
for God's sake.
I'm looking at it, and I don't know what it's got to do with David Bowie. This is what I'm trying to work at.
The Daily Star and Starman. It's a very tentative... It's a very tentative link, and honestly...
Oh, brilliant. Okay, Daily Star.
But it's a story we don't even want to go there. We don't want to get politically involved, you know. It's a breakfast show.
I'm aware. Right, the real story is me missing the link then from the Daily Star to Starman.
Brilliant.
That's I'm sitting looking at it. He sent me and I'm going, what's this got to do with the World Cup?
Anyway, that little segment was very smooth, wasn't it? Brilliant. You know?
I'd like to take this apologies to Ollie, the producer, live on here.
Yeah.
I blew it, mate.
Lot of reaction about Spurs. So Barry says, morning. Says Spurs could get sucked into the relegation battle. Look at our next few fixtures. Where is a win going to come with Thomas Frank in charge? Don't think Xabi Alonso would want to come to Spurs, but we would welcome with open arms. Also, with injuries and suspension, I don't know who is left to face Dortmund tomorrow evening, which is a fair point. Chris, the Spurs fan's been back on again. He says, it's me again, Jeff. Sorry. No need to be sorry, Chris. He says, tell Harry we would have him back in a heartbeat. And Paul in Blackpool, he's texted in and said, when I said a moment or two ago, you know, Spurs fans have been difficult to please. He says, Jeff, come on. Have Spurs fans always been difficult to please? Have you seen our home record over the past 12 months? Ridiculous comment. Paul, you get that. You've won 2 home games this season. You've won the same number of home games as Burnley and West Ham and Crystal Palace and one more than Wolves. Last season, you won 6 home games. That was more than West Ham. That was more than Everton.
Yeah.
That was the same as Crystal Palace. Paul, you've got no divine right to win games, OK? It's football. There are 20 teams in the Premier League all trying hard. Most of them trying hard anyway. So anyway, but thanks for the text, Paul. That's the only point I'm trying to make. You know, they're difficult to please. I think they are. Most fans are difficult to please.
For sure.
Know, let's be honest about that. There's an article in one of the papers today saying that only 3 groups of fans are actually happy with their season so far. You know, which I think is an underestimate. But I think that who is happy with their season so far? Arsenal supporters? I'd say definitely yes. Brentford fans should be definitely yes. Aston Villa fans? I think definitely yes. Sunderland fans,
yes.
Definitely yes. Leeds United fans, I would say definitely yes as well. And maybe Evertonians too.
Yes.
But
yes.
But there'll be plenty who are not happy with their season, Spurs fans included. Have we missed anybody off that list? Not in the Premier League, that's for sure. Hearts fans. We were talking Scotland, of course.
Lincoln fans.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, we go down the league, lots and lots.
But we could be there all day.
All right, let's get the latest odds with Coral and John Hill.
The Coral Daily Download on talkSPORT with Coral. We're here for the fans this season. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
John, good morning to you.
Good morning, John.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Ali. Yeah, if you go further down that pyramid, one man who's definitely happy is myself. And we had a good win against Gateshead at the weekend, boys. 2-0. Yeah, great win that. And I know they're down there at the bottom end of the table, but always good to win away from home, keep a clean sheet. We had 3 new signings in as well, a couple on loan. And a striker as well from Tamworth, Manny Doku, who scored on his debut for us. So, hopefully that can give us a little bit of blood into the squad. And we've got a lot of games in hand.
It's really tight to the top. It's looking good.
It is, yeah.
Brilliant.
Beware of those games in hand, though, John.
I know.
Because people look at the table and say, we've got 3-4 games in hand. But when you've got to play them maybe in the space of a week, as it is sometimes.
That's it. February, we are literally playing Saturday, Tuesday throughout. And they catch up with you, don't they? It's tough. And we've only got a small squad. Yeah. But, look, I'm not going to complain. And you had a good win as well, Jeff, against Altrincham.
Yeah, it was a struggle, but we got there in the end. First home game under the new owner, Landon Smith, and I'm heading up there tomorrow to watch us at home to Gateshead. So thanks for softening them up for us.
You're welcome, Jeff.
Look, one of those weeks, wasn't it? None of the top 4 managed to win in the Premier League. Arsenal would have been, regretting the fact that they dropped points against Nottingham Forest, but actually they'd probably come out as effectively the winners in inverted commas over the weekend. Have they shortened even more?
They have, yeah. They're now 1-5 for the title. When they drop those points, they're probably thinking that's a bad result, but you're quite right. They've extended their lead, 7 points now at the top of the table for the Gunners. And this may be just what they've got to do from here to the end of the season. Just keep picking up positive results and matching their rivals. If they drop points, they can afford to. So Arsenal now 1-5, boys. City 9-2. Villa, I thought it was a good opportunity for them yesterday to get back into it. Unfortunately, they were unable to do it, Ali, will they? So they're out to 33-1. And then obviously, you probably forget the rest, couldn't you? So, good weekend for Arsenal. I think it probably was a good weekend for the bookmakers, I have to say. Often myself, Simon and Steve will come on with the violin complaining about results. But for bookmakers, they can't complain there, can they, with those top 4 results?
No.
Well, you're right, John, but I'm going to move. I know we want the odds before we go on Brighton Bournemouth tonight, but I've been sitting here champing at the bit to speak to you. What a weekend it was for Henderson, John Bond, and also Protectorate yesterday. Great races, horses that have got the public love, particularly at the weekend. I watched John Bond, and Ilate Chomp fell second last, but I don't think it was catching anybody. It was a tremendous performance.
I'm with you. Yeah, brilliant. And a brilliant 3 days, first and foremost, for this Berkshire Winter Million. It's spread across Windsor and Ascot. 2 days at Windsor, 1 day at Ascot. Packed crowds. I was there on Friday, the first day. Brilliant crowd, racing enthusiasts, Ali. And this is the beauty of jumps racing. I've always been a fan of jumps racing over flat racing. For this reason, you get the characters coming back year after year. Flat racing, you can have a champion 3-year-old. They retire, they go on to stud, and they produce, the next generation. But with these jumps races, the likes of John Bond and Protectorate keep coming back year after year. The crowd love it, and magical results were there at the weekend. So absolutely brilliant. And we've still got more to come in this jump season.
Correct.
We've got the Trials Day at Cheltenham Saturday, boys, and then obviously the festival's just 6 weeks away now. So plenty still to come. But you're quite right there. And great for James Bowen as well, because you remember 2 years ago, finished second on the horse in the same race, just touched off, when he probably should have won, if we're being honest. And he's been able to make up for that with a great victory. So, delighted for him as well, Ali.
I mean, John Bond's your dream horse, isn't it? 26 starts under rules, never out of the first 2.
Incredible.
Unbelievable. And so many at the highest level as well. Brilliant horse.
Fantastic. Brighton Bournemouth, John?
Yeah, I'm just looking to do some research for this game, actually. Just looking here, Bournemouth on the road, 10 of their last 11 matches have been over 3.5 goals, so they don't do boring games. If you look at their last 3 away games, 4-4 draw against Manchester United, 4-1 loss at Brentford, and 2-2 against Chelsea. So we could be in for another thriller tonight. We make Brighton 17-20 favourites, so just a shade of odds on. Bournemouth 27-10 to come away with the victory, and the draw 29-10. So, you're quite right. I think Bournemouth have had a good season, haven't they? When you mentioned the fans will be happy. Brighton could still end up being a good season, but they've had this throw in a bad result here and there, don't they, Brighton? So they're hoping to make that right tonight, and a victory here could put them in the top half of the table, Brighton. So a lot on the line for tonight for these two teams.
Yeah. John, thanks very much indeed.
Have a good week, John.
Cheers. Pleasure as always, boys.
And that was a look at the latest odds with Coral 18 plus gambleaware.org. We touched on Newcastle a little earlier. Chris has texted. He says £150 million wasted in the summer. Strikers that aren't firing. Gordon shouldn't be anywhere near the World Cup squad. Howe has been found out. Howe out. Those are the views of Chris. Who I presume is a Newcastle fan, but you never know. He might be from just down the road and watch the team in the red and white. Coming up, we turn our attention to the Liverpool draws at home against all 3 promoted clubs this season. Is Arne Slot feeling the pressure at all with Xabi Alonso available? We'll discuss that next.
The Coral Daily Download on talkSPORT with Coral. We're here for the fans this season. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Here are some of the best sledges in Ashes history. Let's start in 1933, Douglas Jardine versus Yabba. Jardine, the notorious captain of the Bodyline series. Yabba, some bloke in the stands who became so famous he now has a statue at the SCG. When Jardine was swatting away flies on the boundary one day, Yabba yelled, "Oi, Jardine, leave our flies alone. They're the only friends you've got." Next, Warne versus Strauss in the Edgbaston Cauldron 2005. Strauss shouted, "Come on boys, he's struggling here," when Warne misjudged the delivery by Ashley Giles. Warne then told Strauss, "Say one more thing to me and I'll hit the next ball for 6. Strauss obliged and Warne walloped an enormous 6 over square leg. Night-night, Straussy. Bowler Jimmy Ormond dealt a stinger to Mark Waugh, brother of Steve, in 2001, when the Aussie all-rounder told him he was nowhere near good enough to play for his country. Ormond replied, "At least I'm the best cricketer in my family." Tough. Wicketkeeper Ian Healy issued one of the great lines after Steve Waugh told Ricky Ponting to field right under the nose of Nasser Hussain. Healy remarked, "That could be anywhere within a 3-mile radius." Poor Nas. And then there's Dennis Lilly on Jeffrey Boycott, who he beautifully described as a man who fell in love with himself at a young age and has remained faithful ever since.
Good morning, this is talkSPORT Breakfast with Ron Clark. Save on your next car in the real sale. It's the UK's biggest used car sale. I'm Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist is with me. Ian, the Newcastle fan, says that clown is most definitely not a Newcastle fan. That clown being the one who's just suggested Howe out a moment or two ago.
Correct.
Yeah. Now, around 10 minutes ago, Ali rolled back the ears and unlocked his inner cami as I asked why DJ Ed was playing as Starman by David Bowie. Why are we playing this, Ali, apart from the fact that it's absolutely brilliant?
I'm not sure why you're playing it.
What's happened, Chris?
I don't know.
Brilliant.
I don't mind getting compared to the great man. That'll do me.
I mean, look, they're still talking about that moment, I don't know, 15 years on from it. Let's hope they're still talking about what just happened on The Breakfast Show 15 years from now.
Oh, Cammy, tremendous.
Jacob Fernley's been in action in the Australian Open. Let's head down under and get a quick update from Will Hobbs. What's happening, Will?
Jacob Fernley, the British number 3, is out of the Australian Open after round 1. He battled hard to win the third set from 2 down, but the Polish world number 59, Kami Matchak, clinched 2 tie breaks to win in 4. And on the Rod Laver Arena right now, career Grand Slam contender Iga Swiatek's underway against Yu Yan of China, but she's already a breakdown against the world number 130, who's flown out the blocks. Stan Wawrinka, the champion in 2014, now a 40-year-old qualifier. He won in 4 sets to progress. But the news of the morning, Jacob Fernley reached the 3rd round on debut last year, this year out in round 1.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Benchmarks Kitchens and Joinery. Get trade prices on kitchens to suit all styles and budgets at Benchmarks.
The Australian Open update on talkSPORT with TNT Sports. Stream every set live on Discovery Plus or watch TNT Sports channels on EE, Sky and Virgin Media. Subscription required. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Not for the first time this season at the weekend. Liverpool failed to beat one of the promoted sides at Anfield, a 1-1 draw against Burnley. It means all 3 newly promoted sides have left Anfield this season without suffering defeat. The Liverpool boss, Arne Slot, told talkSPORT he can understand the fans' frustrations after dropping yet more points this season.
I assume that the fans are also not happy with the amount of points that we've dropped from either winning positions or games we should have won or deserved to win. I don't think we stole a lot of points this season, but we let ourselves down in multiple occasions where the performance was better than the result was. But yeah, the only ones to blame is ourselves. And like I said, today against a team that defended low, which is of course I would do if I were in their position as well. But we were able to create much more than we usually should do. But yeah, it's hard to be positive if you if we had a draw at home against the promoted side, Burnley.
Well, Arnie Slot sounding pretty downbeat there, which is understandable. Home draw against Burnley, and a bit of speculation about his future with Xabi Alonso losing his job as the Real Madrid manager. Conflicting views in text. Tony has texted us at Highlands. Liverpool's slide started with the last 10 games of last season and has continued this season. It gets worse by the game. Arnie Slot is done at Liverpool. But Johnny says Arnie Slot getting sacked would be madness. The man's won the title. The team is full of injuries, and we're currently still in the Champions League, FA Cup, and the top four. Proper Liverpool fans do not want him sacked. Thank you very much for that, Johnny. But whatever, Coyster, there's clearly an issue, isn't there? I mean, they're drawn the last 4 league games.
Of course there's an issue.
And they're just 1 point above Manchester United now.
Yeah.
How much would the pressure crank up if they were to drop out of that top 4?
It would increase. Of that, there is absolutely no doubt. But I'm the last texter, to be honest with you. I mean, their previous manager was sensational. Klopp, fantastic. But you got to remember, Jeff, Liverpool hadn't won a title for, well, what was it? Was it 1990 the last title they won? And then Klopp won it, I think, about 19 in the season 1920 season. So he won 1 title in 9, and he was brilliant. He was brilliant, Klopp. Everybody loved him, and so they should, because I thought he was great for football. I thought he was great for Liverpool. This fella's come in. He's won a title in his first year, right? And standards have dropped, and bizarrely, in my opinion, people are claiming, questioning his job. He must give the guy's come in, won the title. He's spent a right few quid. He's kind of rebuilding the team. Some of his signings haven't hit the ground running. I take that. I've been at Liverpool. I've seen them a good few times this season. Even they're comfortable result-wise against Barnsley. I didn't think they were brilliant. But the talk of, I just think it's where we are in this day and age, Jeff. It's a sack and remove culture from every team. Doesn't matter who you are, whether you're down the bottom, whether you're up the top, whether you're in the middle, whether you're going for Europe, you're not getting results, let's sack the manager. I mean, it's a sack culture gone crazy. Arne Slot has deservedly won the league last year by a country mile with the best team in the league. Yes, things haven't gone according to plan at this moment in time. They're still in Champions League places. They've got Brighton home in the Cup, and they're still in the Champions League. I think sometimes, and I agree with the last text, I think the Liverpool fans who, quite rightly, are up there judged by the best fans in the world, will look at the situation, assess the situation, and say, come on, let's give the guy time. He's won us a title. OK, we're not going to win a title this year, but there's no need to press panic buttons.
I think expectations change, though, don't they? As you said, they won the league by a country mile. Then right at the end of the season, as our texter said, the form dropped off. But they spent a fortune before the start of this season. And that changes the level of expectations. I think everybody before the start of the season was saying, wow, what brilliant business Liverpool have done. They're going to win the league again this season.
Yeah, no, I take the point. Of course, expectations rise because he's obviously brought on quality players, whether it's Isak, Wirtz, Kerkez, Frimpong, boys like that. And most of them, Ekitike aside, haven't hit the ground running as they would like to. I get it. And of course, with Alonso's situation at leaving Real Madrid, there's a natural, there'll be voices within Liverpool fans saying, "Oh, let's go and get Alonso." But I just don't. I don't think it should be done. I think the manager should be given more time. I mean, if we're sacking managers who win the league, and I know Real Madrid are probably renowned for doing it, but I just think it's going down a road that I don't want to see any team go down, to be honest with you.
Thanks, Coisty. Let's look ahead to the next hour of the show with Benchmarks.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Benchmarks Kitchens and Joinery. Get trade prices on kitchens to suit all styles and budgets at Benchmarks.
Tottenham fans, we're taking your calls from 9 this morning. Thomas Frank, we understand, in danger of losing his job, though we're also being told that he will definitely be in charge for the Champions League game against Dortmund tomorrow. Harry Redknapp says sackings need to stop and the players need to start taking the responsibility. 03717 22 3344. The Dortmund game coming up tomorrow. These fans who rang talkSPORT on Saturday evening don't think that Frank should be in charge.
He's got to go tonight. Maybe you two can take... Well, no, not Cundy.
I'll take over.
Maybe you can have a go, Jamie.
I reckon I'd do a better job, I'll be honest.
It's not difficult.
Bring back hands, you know what I mean? We've got another good manager for us, Ronald McDonald.
Jamie O'Hara reckons he'd do a better job than Thomas Frank. I'd like to take a little punt on that, wouldn't you? Don't forget Spurs against Dortmund tomorrow, live on talkSPORT, and that was our breakfast preview with Travis Perkins Hire.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. With 250 hire branches nationwide, it's easy to hire at Travis Perkins.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. Been taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology. How would you get to that conclusion?
That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Let's get in there.
I used to love that song. I mean, ruined forever, really, isn't it? This is TalkSport Breakfast. I'm Jeff Stelling. Ally McCoist is with me. You don't need me to tell you who that was. But I will. Gabby Agbon-Lahore. Active on social media over the weekend, ahead of yesterday's 1-0 home defeat to Everton. Gabby tweeted, "Let's get it down to 4 points tomorrow. Up the Villa, pride of the Midlands." By full time, he was tweeting title race over because of PSR. Well, that's the life of being a fan, isn't it? You know, you've got to have a little bit of sympathy with him, I would guess, Coisty.
I think you'll find I've got sympathy for the Villa. I've got no sympathy whatsoever for Gabby.
Yeah.
There's a difference. No, I think you've got to have a little bit of sympathy for the Villa. We spoke about it earlier this morning.
Yeah.
Obviously, Marlon away to Roma. Looks like Tammy Abraham might be coming in. The fact of the matter is, you know, they can't take any chances with the PSR rules and they have to play by the book.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't think that was the reason they could beat 1-0 by Everton yesterday, to be brutally honest with you. I think they didn't play anything like the way they can, and I think Unai Emery's already come out and said that, plus the fact they came up against a very, very good Everton team.
A lot of response to our little Liverpool chat, by the way, mate. And they're not all with you back in Arnie's slot, I'll tell you that.
I didn't think they would be.
No, Craig says, "Morning, Jeff and Ali." Craig, Liverpool fan here. It's not about the results as much. I'm a season ticket holder and the performances are painful to watch. And that is what needs to change. Elsewhere, we've got Dave. I'm a Liverpool fan. We've won 5 league games since September. How is this acceptable at a big club? The manager was booed at the end of the game. Fans are unhappy. David, Liverpool fan, says, "Lads, Kirkus, Frimpong and Wirtz have been much better in recent weeks, and I'm not slot out just yet, but he needs to quicken the play up." So, you know...
yeah?
I wouldn't say it's a groundswell. Certainly not a groundswell of opinion about Arnie Slot, but there are just little questions being asked, that's all. Just want to take a moment, Coisey, that you want to share with us. Piers Morgan. Yeah, I know. We're not going to hear from him. That's the good news, okay? Piers Morgan's in hospital at the moment. He had a really bad fall at a restaurant in London. And such was the impact of his fall that he's had to have a hip replacement while in hospital. He's going to be laid up for a number of weeks. And I'm sure, you know, that anybody who's not a Tottenham fan will wish Piers well.
Absolutely.
And we certainly do, Piers. Hope you're listening this morning. Sure you will be. So all the best, mate. Let's hope that things improve pretty quickly. Let's talk transfer window. 2 weeks to go now. Who'll be on the move between now and then? Will Thomas Frank actually still be the Spurs manager by then? No better person to ask than TalkSport's chief football correspondent, Alex Crook. Morning, Crookie.
Morning, Crookie, lad.
Good morning, we well?
Yeah, really well. Anything new on Thomas Frank? I mean, I'm reading that he'll certainly be in charge tomorrow against Dortmund.
Yeah, I think that was always likely. He's due to take training today. There's a press conference actually at 3:30 this afternoon. Be interesting to see how he responds to questions about his future. But I would say that his job very much remains in the balance. We know there were talks at boardroom level over the weekend about what to do with the manager following that defeat at home to West Ham and the toxic scenes we saw afterwards. I think the big issue that Thomas Frank has got is not only do the fans seem to have completely turned against him, I'm being told there are a number of senior players who also have reservations about the direction the club are going in. No doubt that will filter to the powers that be. So I think it's still a question of when and not if Thomas Frank leaves Tottenham. But there isn't an obvious replacement mid-season. In terms of an interim, they don't have Ryan Mason on the books anymore. I know he's a free agent, but after what happened at West Bromwich Albion in his own managerial career, I'm not sure that would go down particularly well with the Spurs fans. Johnny Heitinga obviously has recently come in. He's had a bit of managerial experience, but again, that didn't go well for him at Ajax. So I think that's also part of the issue. But they've got so many players unavailable as well for this game against Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League, not least Mickey van der Ven, who for me is their best defender. So it's hard really to make a case for Spurs winning that game. If they lose again, I think his days are numbered, unfortunately, because I love Thomas Frank, but you have to admit it's just not worked out at all, is it?
Well, it's not, mate. Now I want to ask you about a couple of centre-forwards potentially on the move. Crookie, Tammy Abraham, obviously, potentially going to Villa, and a question mark over Callum Wilson, who comes off the bench and within a minute gets the winner. Would it be good? Would that be a good move, selling him or sort of getting rid of him?
I think he'll stay now, Ali. To be honest, he was obviously one of the players that David Sullivan personally signed in the summer. Hasn't played as much as he would have liked under Nuno Espirito Santo. Was pushing to have his contract torn up when they signed not one but two strikers in this window. But he showed what he can do, doesn't he? If there's a chance inside the penalty area and you're a West Ham fan, you want it to fall to Callum Wilson. So I think David Sullivan will dig his heels in now. I was told actually he was pretty close to joining Crystal Palace at one stage in this window. Obviously, they need a backup option to Jean-Philippe Mateta. I think Nketiah is still injured, but it doesn't look like that will happen now. And if I was Nuno Espirito Santo, I think I'd be giving Callum Wilson a lot more playing time in order to try and stay up. And on Tammy Abraham, this one was pretty close at one stage last week. Villa seemed confident of getting the deal done. It has just stalled a little bit. The issue here is there's not only two clubs involved because he's a Roma player, but he's on loan at Besiktas. So not only do Aston Villa have to do a deal with Roma in terms of a permanent transfer, Besiktas are also going to want compensating to terminate his loan spell. And obviously, Villa, one of the clubs affected by PSR restrictions. That's why they couldn't afford to buy Conor Gallagher in this window. And I know you've been mocking Gabby a little bit this morning, but I have written a piece on the talkSPORT website, a comment piece from yesterday, that Aston Villa really are being prevented from mounting a serious title challenge because they don't have the flexibility to go out and do what Manchester City have done in this window and signed Anton Semenyo and Mark Gay.
Crookie, I could hardly believe my eyes, actually. I was reading last night that Chelsea might be about to sign Jeremy Jacquet from Rennes, a 20-year-old central defender. How many central defenders do Chelsea need? How many inexperienced central defenders do Chelsea need?
Well, this was part of the frustration for Enzo Maresca, wasn't it? This was one of the reasons that he threw his toys out the pram and forced an exit, because particularly in defence, he felt they needed more experience. We've been told for the last 72 hours or so that Chelsea are going to look to bring in a defender this window, but it doesn't look like it will be an experienced player. Jeremy Jacquet left out by Rennes this weekend, having told them that he wants to make the move to Stamford Bridge. I think there's still a bit of a discrepancy in terms of the fee. They sold Jeremy Doku Rennes for a club record €64 million to Manchester City. We're told at talkSPORT they value Jacquet even higher than that. I'm sure there's a lot of Chelsea fans, if they're going to spend £60 million on a defender, why don't they go and get Ibrahima Konate from Liverpool, someone who's tried and trusted in the Premier League? Why weren't they in the conversation for one of their former players, Mark Gay? Because that's what they really need.
Yeah. Crookie, brilliant. Thank you very much indeed.
Cheers, Crookie. All the best, mate.
Cheers, guys.
That was a quick look at the January transfer window in partner with Intuit QuickBooks. A couple of quick texts on Liverpool. Roy Dickens says Slot has turned an F1 Ferrari into a Fiat 500. And Bill from Staffordshire says, big Liverpool fan. However, Arnie is actually coming across as if he's out of ideas. So interesting thoughts. If you think Arnie Slot is the right man for Liverpool, let's hear from you, because at the moment all we're getting is criticism of his management at Anfield. At the moment, remember, he won the title at a canter last season. Coming up next, the Spurs helpline. Is it all on Thomas Frank, or is it about time you gave a manager time, like Harry Redknapp has said? 03717 223344 is the number to call to have your say.
Transfer window. Breaking news on talkSPORT with Intuit QuickBooks. Tackle your self-assessment and business admin with ease all year round. Search QuickBooks to find out more.
fancied having a beer in the stands while watching your team at the Emirates? Well, this season you actually can, and not just there. You can do it at Anfield, Goodison Park, Stamford Bridge and Old Trafford too. But hold on, I hear you cry. Isn't drinking alcohol in the stands at Premier League games illegal? You're right, for the men's game it still is, but the Women's Super League is doing something different. And here's how we got there. Back in the 1980s, football had a serious image problem. The sport was plagued by violence, pitch invasions and beer-fuelled chaos. From fan riots at the 1980 Scottish Cup final to the Heysel disaster years later, things were unsafe and the consequences were disastrous. Then in 1985, Margaret Thatcher's government stepped in. They introduced the Sporting Events Control of Alcohol Act, banning alcohol in view of the pitch across England and Wales. Since then, many fans and clubs have called for the law to be relaxed, especially since other sports don't face the same restrictions. If you're popping down to watch the Red Roses roar at Twickenham, feel free to grab a pint on the way to your seat. Wandering down to Lord's to catch some boundary bashing? Fill your boots with G&Ts. But if you were hoping to cheers your club's promotion to the Premier League with a Prosecco in hand from pitchside, sorry, it'll have to be tea or Bovril. In 2021, it looked like things might finally change. The government commissioned the Crouch Report, a fan-led review into football governance. One recommendation was to allow League Two and National League clubs to lift the alcohol ban to boost matchday revenue. But nothing came of it. Authorities still weren't convinced that fans could be trusted. And then in January 2025, something did change. The Women's Championship, now called the WSL 2, launched a trial allowing fans to drink in the stands. The reasoning? Well, fans at women's matches tend to behave differently. Less aggression, more family-friendly vibes. Now, the women's game is raising the bar, literally. Select WSL and WSL2 stadiums are allowing fans to drink alcohol in view of the pitch. It's been a landmark move, showing growing trust in fans and recognising that women's football is building its own culture. So could the men's game be the next to leave the 1980s behind? Well, maybe, if fans can prove they can handle a pint without pitching it at someone. Yeah, don't hold your breath. Until then, it's Bovril all around. Cheers to that.
Good morning, this is talkSPORT Breakfast with me, Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist and Arnold Clark's Real Sale. There are huge savings to be had on over 20,000 used cars. 4 minutes past 9, Monday, January the 19th. Julian says, hi Jeff, I'm a LFC season ticket holder and I agree that Arnie Slot really deserves the chance to turn things around and agree with Ali's comments. Until last week, though, there was no viable alternative as no one at Anfield wants Glasner or Raiola. However, Xabi Alonso is now available and will be wanted by Spurs and maybe Bayern or even City in the summer. So I'm now in the camp of reluctantly wanting to make a change so that we don't lose out on the best alternative. Julian, thank you very much. Still to come this morning, we'll be taking a dive into some debatable refereeing decisions at the weekend. Should Dallow have seen red in the Manchester derby? Could Spurs and Arsenal have had penalties for handballs? We'll be putting those to the former Premier League ref Chris Foy. Plus, could Oliver Glasner be out of Palace even sooner than May following this outburst?
We feel that we are being abandoned completely and, selling our captain one day before a Premier League game.
We'll get the Palace fans' perspective at around 9:30 this morning. One man who's got no legacy as it stands at his current club is Thomas Frank. Can he survive Saturday's disappointing home loss to West Ham?
Caicedo down the middle. He squares it to Pedro. It's 1-0 to Chelsea.
Van der Ven and the Jets bench. If you're Thomas Frank, the way that he looked round, it was a lack of respect.
He's set up with a back five, Thomas Frank. I think it's been really negative, and ultimately they paid the price.
I think it's pretty evident that if no one gets the time, no one can turn this around. This is not a quick fix.
Bournemouth 3, Tottenham 2.
Van der Ven comes over and he's calling a fan out for a fight.
And it's yet more home disappointment for Thomas Frank and Spurs.
He didn't quite understand the size of the job.
With a fan base, with a stadium they've got, it needs to be better.
This is astonishing. It's Tottenham 1, West Ham 2.
The chant around the stadium a few moments ago, sacked in the morning.
Can you tell me if they're a pressing team? Can you tell me if they're a counter-attacking team? Are they difficult to break down? They're none of those.
There's a lot of things and changes going in the right direction. We are in transitional season with a super tanker. We're turning around.
The problems facing Thomas Frank, told that some in the dressing room are dissatisfied with him. A text here says Frank was supposed to be a coach that develops young players. We have a young squad. Instead of improving them, they seem to be standing still or getting worse. He describes himself as a disgruntled Tottenham Hotspur season ticket holder. How long do you think you really require to... I mean, look, how long's a piece of string? How long do you require to settle into a job and prove your worth, Coisty, do you think? Because we know in this day and age, the time you're given is less and less and less.
Of course it is. Well, the fact that Arne Slot's under pressure, or people are wanting, calling for his head would indicate that. Thomas Frank, I get it, is under pressure because of the results, there's no doubt about that. But at what point, and we keep saying it, Jeff, at what point do we look at the entire structure of Tottenham Hotspur? Because from what we're seeing, we're going to have to say that Mourinho, Nuno, Conte, Postecoglou, they've all got it wrong, and Thomas Frank's another one that's just getting it wrong. Now that might be the case, but I think it has to go deeper than that, and it has to go to recruitment, and the structure of the club as well. That's where I am. But in terms of the question you asked me, I know it doesn't happen, but I think a manager in an ideal world should at least get 2 windows to get his own players in. I get there are managers and coaches can come in and change things with the same players. I'll use Man United at the weekend as an example of that. They've still got a long way to go, and there'll be nobody getting carried away other than the fact that they should enjoy the result of a thoroughly deserved victory in a derby game, and they've got a long, long way to go. But there are cases where managers and coaches can come in and get another tune out of players. But generally speaking, if the players aren't good enough, they'll slip back to old ways and get back to norm. And I think Tottenham, I think that I just don't think. I think the players are, to be brutally honest, Jeff, I think the players are underachieving, but only by about 3 or 4 league positions, to be brutally honest with you.
Yeah.
I really do.
Paul, who's a Spurs fan, says, why don't we do something we haven't done before and give the manager more time? Let's get the views of some other Spurs fans, shall we? Wolf has given us a call. He's a Spurs fan. Morning, Wolf.
Morning, Wolf.
Morning, boys. How are you?
Yeah.
Very well, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Well, not so great after Saturday. So
we had Paul. Paul texted a moment ago, said, let's give the manager more time. Where do you stand?
I was in that camp, but after the last 2 home results, you can't be in that. His football's too negative for a Tottenham team. He had Odobert Tell narrow with Simmons on Saturday, and you're sitting in the mid-tier watching it, and they should just be wide. You can see what needs to be done, and his tactics, he's supposedly this tactician, are just not good enough.
I'd like to ask you the question, mate, and you mentioned a few names there. Odobert, Simmons, Tell, Colomiani through the middle. Now, I just don't think that's a strong enough front line to be competing in the top 4 or top 5 or even the top 6, to be honest with you. I think Spurs have got a reasonable reason, not an excuse, a reason for some of their poor performances in forward areas, because I think you're missing really, really key players. But I would ask you the question, looking at your squad, where should your squad be?
Well, we've got injuries, but Simmons has been brought in as a sort of marquee signing, hasn't he? You know, I know we're missing Maddison and Kulu, but, you know, the other boys, Kel was 30 million. Frank obviously agreed with it at the start of the season, and he shouldn't have come off on Saturday. He gives his all. You know, Mawani, you know, there's a reason why he's going around the loan clubs, isn't there? Because he's not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Wolf, sorry, mate.
No, go on. You go on, mate. You go on.
You can see the discontent in the dressing room, on the pitch. Part of that's the crowd, because as soon as they place a bad pass, they know that they're going to be on them. But, you know, Frank is just too negative. All right, Postecoglou was probably too much the other way. We need something in between. You know, the players needed to be 10 yards up the pitch. If you watch any football, our midfielders are playing around with it in front of our own box. It's never going to end if they're not good enough in a good result, is it?
Wolf, thanks very much indeed.
Thanks, Wolf.
Let's get another perspective. Lee, as a Spurs fan. Morning, Lee.
Come on, Lee.
Yeah, morning, lads. I think Thomas Frank should get a sack just for the way that he chews chewing gum. Does my head in. I can't stand it. But joking aside, you can have Thomas Frank, Jose Mourinho and Conte, all three managing Spurs together, and you will still get the same result. When is people going to learn and understand, right, that we are run badly, very, very badly and poor? All they're interested in is making money for themselves. They want to buy potential young players, right? They run it like a business. They want to buy potential young players who hopefully are going to be quality, right? But they keep getting it wrong. We've got a bunch of average players, right? They belong in the Championship, let alone the Premiership, right? If ENIC, our owners, right, they're not interested in going out there and buying top players because they've got no desire to be a top team. It's all financial gain for themselves. The only people that benefit is the supporters. And they've got no interest in benefiting the supporters. They're only interested in benefiting themselves financially.
Lee, thank you very much, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Let's get another view. We'll squeeze one more in. David's also a Spurs fan. Morning, David.
Good morning, David.
Morning, am I? I'm through to the Tottenham supporters counselling line. I'm based in Sydney, Australia. I've also had to put up with England's efforts in the Ashes as well. So I hope it's been a tough time for me. I hope you can hear me out here in my time of need. This club we've got toxicity in the club as bad as when Conte left and Stellini was in charge and Sanchez was booed off the pitch. As per your previous call, we've had it's 25 years. We've got Levy legacy in ENIC. Imagine the rolled up into one of Mike Ashley, Doug Ellis and Peter Swells. The owners have spent more money on property development than players, net. I wanted Frank when he came in because I thought that he would be more of a strategist, tactics in the game, man management, develop players like he did at Brentford. But it's become clear that, unfortunately, the job is too much for him. He's been saddled with a substandard squad, but he hasn't helped himself with his negative tactics, his communication to the supporters about what true fans are. And I think man management-wise, I think that what he's done at Brentford, he's obviously worked with players who are not stars. He's developed them to be stars. But he's come into Tottenham. I know it's a substandard squad, but there are some stars there, and he hasn't managed them properly. It's also a call to you, Johan Lange, who when Emery came in at Villa, Lange was demoted, and then soon he was on his way, only to be recruited by Daniel Levy. And look at the signings that Lange has made and Paratici. The squad's not good enough. Yes, we can give a manager more time, but what we really need is an ownership who would invest meaningfully in the squad. I'm not talking Cities and Chelseas. I'm talking about getting some 250 grand a week oven-ready star players in for a decent spine and leadership, and a manager who strikes the balance between attacking football, which we Tottenham fans are used to and like to see, with a bit of a defence as well. I'm hoping that your counselling will help me in this time of need, gents.
Look, David, we're so pleased that the Spurs helpline can reach out as far as Australia. We really are.
David, before we get any further, I think you're better off you talking about the cricket, to be quite honest.
No. Let's not go there. David, thanks very much for the call.
Thanks for your call, mate.
Thank you.
Bully quickly has just said, can't keep sacking managers. The players need to take responsibility. Back him in this window, get a new keeper and a good attacking wide player. If everyone is fit, we have a top 6 squad. A reminder, you can listen to Spurs against Borussia Dortmund tomorrow night at 8. It's live on talkSPORT. Coverage of that begins at 7. Bodo Glimt against Man City is on talkSPORT 2 at 5:45. Inter against Arsenal at 8, also on talkSPORT 2. Download the free talkSPORT app now. Coming up, Arsenal fans flooded social media on Saturday night saying they were denied a blatant penalty. That's a surprise. Well, we'll find out if they were right with former Premier League referee Chris Foy next.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology. How did you get to that conclusion?
That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Morning, this is talkSPORT Breakfast with Jeff Stelling and Ally McCoist. A couple of very quick texts. Dill says it's time these highly played players stepped up and took responsibility for playing so badly. Arnie Slot didn't miss the penalty on Saturday. How can you say Frank isn't developing players after only a few months in the job? It's not like getting your holiday snaps developed at Boots, he says. And there's another terrific text from Ronan who says... This is discussions about Spurs. My question would be why and at what point does a senior player with the respect of his teammates step up and influence the dressing room? Pull the players aside and say, let's get behind this man. Years ago, I can only imagine senior players would have had significant influence on their colleagues. It's a disgrace how entitled the vast majority of these players now are. Right, it is time for a bit of this.
You're unbelievable.
It's a shocking decision.
Unbelievable, Jeff. Unbelievable, Jeff.
They're trying to re-referee the game. That's not what it's there for.
Jeff, you will not believe this.
Keep your flag down.
I told you!
No way.
I told you!
VAR, go away! Dave Bassett will not believe this.
It's a goal! It's a goal!
The crowd cannot believe it. What?
Oh! Miles over the line!
Boo! That's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic.
That isn't a penalty. I'm absolutely astounded.
You're unbelievable, Jeff.
Let's run through a couple of the big decisions at the weekend with former Premier League referee Chris Foy. Morning, Chris.
Good morning, Chris.
Morning, guys. You well?
Yeah.
Very well,
good,
thanks, mate.
Thanks. Look, the headline one obviously was the lack of a red card for Diogo Dalot. The official explanation was that his challenge landed a glancing blow on Jeremy Doku, but Mike Dean called it 100% red. Where do you stand?
Yeah, it's a red card, isn't it? I mean, on field, Anthony Taylor, the referee, has given a yellow for a reckless challenge, and it's been checked by Craig Pawson, who's the VAR, and he felt as though it lacked the intensity. You know, it was a fleeting glance, and they decided to stay with the ref's call, which was yellow. But I think it's a red card.
See that one though, Chris? Can I ask you, mate? I think that's pretty open. I really do. There's no doubt about it. It's a poor challenge, but where I am on it, I could have understood if he was sent off, but also I can accept that he wasn't sent off. I don't. What my point is, I don't think that's a definitive.
Do you know what, Ali? What you said there makes a lot of sense. What they talk about is sometimes it's check complete either way. And that's what happens. So if a red card would have been shown in that situation, then it would have been check complete as well.
Yeah.
It's just my opinion. Looking at it, I felt it was red when I looked at it on review. Quite clearly, Craig Pawson didn't. But as we say, check complete either way, and they stayed with the on-field decision, which was the referee's call.
Forest against Arsenal then, Chris. A lot of people thought that there was a handball against Ola Aina. I think the official explanation was the ball came off his shoulder first. I would also say, by the way, and Arsenal fans won't like me for this, he was also being kicked in the stomach at the same instant. Should it have been a penalty, or was it the right call?
Do you know what, Jeff? It is the right call not to give a handball here, and I'll explain why. There's more to it than what people think, because as you quite rightly said, there was a little bit of contact from an Arsenal player in his stomach. Elliot Anderson bumped into him, knocked him forward.
Yeah.
The ball strikes him really high up, in between the red and the green zone. It drops down, it strikes him on the arm. I mean, for me, I just don't see how that can be a handball offence. And this is a decision that will really divide opinion. I mean, I was actually going to get my yellow and red cards and whistle out to sort out Martin Keown and Sean Dyche because they couldn't agree with this one. And it will divide opinion. It's not, the decision is not given on field. It's checked by the VAR down in England. And it's the right call. It's not handball, in my opinion.
Chris, I know. Again, I'm with you in that one. Here's an interesting one. Not that he made too many decisions that the players didn't agree with, Chris. However, we saw something yesterday which Jeff and I mean, it's just totally unacceptable in AFCON, obviously, and you'll have seen it when the players march off the pitch and protest at a referee's decision. Two things. A, what did you think of it? And B, how would you have handled it?
Well, in situations where you've got tournament football, obviously FIFA are the governing body, and they have a match delegate there who will oversee proceedings, and generally you take a steer from them. It's not a very easy situation to deal with. I mean, if players leave the field and walk into the changing rooms, there's not really a great deal you can do. You're really calling on your expertise then and your interpersonal skills to speak to everybody involved, because you've got the hierarchy from the teams involved, you've got the FIFA delegate, you as the referee, the ground stadium manager. It's everybody pulling together to make sure that we can get the game completed.
I want to ask you about one more at home, Chris, and it came to absolutely nothing, but I was watching this game and it was Villa against Everton, and Tony Harrington is a referee I like.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I wonder why. We'll keep that between ourselves. But he also happens, I think, to be a good official. But look, I'm watching that game. Morgan Rogers bursts through from his own half, gets to the edge of the penalty area, being pursued by James Garner. Just before he gets into the penalty area, James Garner pushes him with both hands in the back. Now, Tony Harrington is incredibly close to him. He's kept up with play really well. He's aware that Garner's already been booked. Was he thinking, if I give this, I've got to send the boy off? I mean, I couldn't think of any explanation why he did not give that as a free kick.
Interesting observations. He probably felt that there was contact and the contact was enough for Rodgers to go down. But Garner was extremely fortunate here, wasn't he? I mean, it's two hands on the back.
Yeah.
He's travelling at pace. It's outside the penalty area. It's a promising attack. This is one that Tony will reflect on. He'll probably think this morning when he sees it again, he should have shown him a second yellow card. And if he had done, I don't think James Garner could have had too many complaints, could he?
Yeah, look, if he thinks I'm criticising him, he must think, God, it must have been bad. Brilliant. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. All the best.
Have a good week, guys.
You too, mate. You too. Coming up, it's chaos at Crystal Palace. Glasner's called out the board, but he's staying for now. Gay's on his way out. Jean-Philippe Mateta might also be on his way out. You'll get the former chairman's perspective at 10 with Simon Jordan, but on talkSPORT Breakfast, we'll get the fans' perspective next. If you want to have your say, 03717 223344 is the number to call.
When was the last time you saw someone score with a knuckleball free kick? We're going to take a look at why we're not seeing them anymore and explain a bit about how they work. The knuckleball peaked in the 2010s after that Ronaldo strike against Portsmouth in 2008 inspired academy players everywhere. Here's a young Mason Mount.
I tried to base my free kick on Ronaldo, hit the ball by the valve and it moves. So what do you do? Top corner.
Now, no ball is perfectly aerodynamic, so as it travels it creates ever-changing pockets of turbulent air, causing that unpredictable movement. Football's most prolific free-kick taker, Juninho Pernambucano, perfected the technique but didn't invent it. He was inspired by players from the 90s and even the 50s. So how do you do it? You have to hit the ball head-on with as short a contact time as possible so the ball doesn't spin. Hitting by the valve helps with that short contact time, as it's the hardest part of the football. So why don't we see knuckleballs much anymore? It's because players are being told not to shoot from dead ball situations because the XG is so low. In fact, as Opta shows here, since the 08-09 season there's been a 10% reduction in players shooting from free kicks in the Premier League. And in 23-24, a record low of 11 free kicks found the back of the net. And the knuckleball, though spectacular, is imprecise, which is why it's becoming a thing of the past.
Good morning, this is talkSPORT Breakfast with Arnold Clark. Save on your next car in the real sale. It's the UK's biggest used car sale, 9:33. I'm Jeff Stelling. Ally McCoist is with me. Ask Ali coming up at 9:45. But let's head straight down under now and get an update from the Aussie Open with Will Hobbs. Hi again, Will. So what's happening at the moment? We've heard of one Brit going out today.
Yes, Jeff, it's Jacob Fernie, the number 3 Brit, who's out going down in 4 sets to Poland's Kami Maciek. Right now, career Grand Slam candidate Iga Świątek is a set and a break to the good against Yu Yan of China. 5th seed Mira Andreeva, the 18-year-old, is a set down to Donna Vekic, but she's 5-2 up in the second. Earlier, there were wins for Goff, Wawrinka, Medvedev and De Minaur, but men's 7th seed Felix Auger-Aliassime is out, having retired hurt. Novak Djokovic up next, but the big British result, Jacob Fernley eliminated in round 1.
The Australian Open update on talkSPORT with TNT Sports. Every set exclusively live on TNT Sports. Subscription required. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Thanks very much indeed for that, Will. Regular updates, of course, from the Australian Open tennis. Now the Oliver Glasner Crystal Palace love affair looks to be well and truly over.
To the North London sky. May the 17th, 2025. The day that Crystal Palace won the FA Cup.
He's shown them they've got a really good manager, and he's shown everybody else they've got a really good manager.
And the Palace uprising continues. They dethroned Manchester City in the cup final, and now they have usurped the champions to lift the Community Shield 2025.
Macclesfield have knocked the holders out of the FA Cup.
How can you back a manager and knowing he's not even prepared to sign a contract? You can't do that.
You say that you need me. Crystal Palace fans.
Sunderland 2, Crystal Palace 1.
We feel that we are being abandoned completely, and selling our captain one day before a Premier League game. No understanding. We're playing with 12, 13 players from our original squad for weeks now, and then that makes it so tough to accept this defeat.
Yeah, On Friday, Oliver Glasner confirmed he'd be leaving Crystal Palace at the end of the season. Says he told Steve Parish of his decision in October. On the final word, however, former Palace player and manager Alan Pardew said you have to show your club more respect.
When you start talking about yourself as the third person, Oliver, like he says in one of his press reports that come out, Oliver Glasner doesn't need, this club, etc., etc. He should show a bit of respect to Crystal Palace.
He said that?
Yeah. So I think I got a quote somewhere. I'll come to it, in a second. But, as an ex-Crystal Palace player, I'm not talking about as a manager, as an ex-Crystal Palace player, I was a little bit like,
Joining us now for more on this is actor, comedian and huge Crystal Palace fan, Doc Brown. Morning, Doc.
Morning, Doc.
Morning, gents. Thanks for that montage, making me cry on a Monday morning. Brilliant. I feel abandoned by you, Jeff, on that one.
Sorry about that, Doc. Do most Palace fans, do you think, feel abandoned, not necessarily by the club, but by Oliver Glasner?
Yeah, it's a really, really tricky one. I mean, I'm in a WhatsApp group with a huge amount of Eagles fans, and obviously we've all been discussing it and everyone's been putting their 2 pence in. I would say that the sort of average opinion and emotion on this one is that, of course, we can understand Ollie's frustration, but the way he's gone about it is it's frankly unacceptable. It really is. I mean, the journey that we've been on is incredible. He has provided it for us. He's clearly a great manager, but he thinks of himself as bigger than, well, this is the third time it's happened. He thought about it at Wolfsburg. He did the same thing at Frankfurt, and now he's doing it here. He's done great things for all 3 clubs, fancies himself as a bit bigger than that, and he wants to go to a bigger club. Good luck to him, because I could see him going to a bigger club and not doing quite so well.
Funnily enough, I agree with everything you said there, Doc. I think he's a terrific coach, but I'm not sure, I'm sure he's not going about it the right way. I'll ask you this question though, mate. Is there a little bit of an inevitability about Crystal Palace's, I'm loath to use the word decline. Decline's not the right word, but dropping standards, because what you've achieved in the last 18 months, I think, has been absolutely remarkable, and it's been a joy for every football fan, never mind Palace fans. But when you start losing the quality that you're losing, whether it's Elise, Eze, Anderson, obviously Gay's away now, is there not an inevitability that your standard of football will drop?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree more with that statement, Ali. The one thing I'd add to it is that we are a sort of reflection of where modern football's at, right? We're a sort of middle-class club, essentially. We're a small club, punching above our weight, and have been for a long time, since we came up, really.
Yeah.
And then we've had this blast of actual success. I tell my kids every day, enjoy this, because these are the good old days. We're experiencing them right now. Drama, psychodrama, and losing players and dropping down the table, that's normal Palace, right? That's normal Palace. What we've just experienced last season is abnormal. So my thing about modern football is, why is there a glass ceiling for teams of our size? We are forced to sell. If we get good, ask any club our size, we're scared to get good. We're scared to find gems from the Championship, gems from overseas. Because if we get good and they play well, they're going to get bought and we get decimated. And the pattern goes on and on. That's the thing that really frustrates me. And that's where my sympathy lies with Steve Parish, because I feel like he's doing absolutely everything he can. But his hands almost are tied. We lost Dougie Freedman. No one talks about that. Yeah. He's probably a bigger loss in a way than Elise and Eze. Like what he was doing, and I know Dougie, I know Steve, I know how hard these guys work, and what they're doing behind the scenes is so difficult with such a small amount of money. The last thing we need is a manager to be putting us on blast in the way he has. I understand why he's done it, think he's done it the wrong way. And the only thing I would say on behalf of the club is that maybe if Man City were so desperate for Gahey, we could have said to them, you can get him and you can have him for 20, but you're getting him on the 31st of January. We need time to find a replacement. I would have loved to have seen that, but there we go.
Do you think there's an element maybe in Oliver Glasner's thinking here? You said that in terms of transfers, the club's hands are tied. He knows that whether it be at the end of January or at some stage in January, you're going to lose Gahey. He's told the club that he's leaving at the end of the season. Is what he said an attempt to force their hand to let him go sooner than the end of the season? Does he want to go now?
I think you could be right, but I think it could be double-edged. It could be that he was thinking about getting out earlier, and then the Gahey thing forced his hand. We have to take his words at face value. We have to believe what he says is true about being told about Gahey at 10:30 the day before. If that's the case, that is quite poor. On the other hand, he knows exactly what he's come into. He said to Steve in October, I probably won't stay at the end of the season, but we'll discuss it later, kind of thing. I don't think it's acceptable to talk about, I look to the bench and there's only kids, when Uche and Sosa are on there, and I can tell you they are grown men. I think it's a little bit disrespectful to the players on the bench. And I think, like I say, it's double-edged, because I think also what might have happened when he got the Gahey news is he saw what was going on at Spurs and was thinking, tell you what, if Frank's out of a job, I might sneak in there. I'm not sure. I can't know because I'm not in it. But yeah, and also, 2 million in severance he'll get if we have to sack him now. The thing that I think is interesting is what he said and the way he said it. I wonder if he could be in breach of contract for saying what he said to the cameras, which might force him to pipe down and stay till the end of the season.
Well, here's one for you, Doc. I mean, in normal circumstances, I'm old school in the respect that if you're a player and you're unhappy, generally speaking, you don't want an unhappy player about your camp because of the effect it can have. Now, this is taking it to an extreme. You look as though you might have an unhappy manager. However, if I'm Steve Parish, two things. What's my priority? My priority is the welfare of the football club. There's no doubt about that. Now, is it in the football club's best interest to let this manager go and give us a problem and replacing him? No, I don't. I think it is. So I think it's in Steve Parish's best interest to sit him down and say, look, you were out of order there with your comments at the weekend. However, you've got a job here, and your job is to look after the interests of Crystal Palace until the end of the season and get on with it. I think that's the option, mate.
Yeah, and I think from what I'm hearing from inside the club, that conversation has actually happened, either last night or early this morning. So Steve is not a foolish man. He's an incredibly smart man. Of course. He absolutely loves this club. There's not many owners in world football who are genuine local fans of the club, but he really is. And he will always put us first. And I think you're 100% right. It's in his best interest to get Ollie to just wind his neck in a little bit and carry on doing his job as agreed. No one should sack their manager mid-season unless it's an absolute necessity. If Spurs do it, they'll feel the pain.
Doc, thank you so much.
Thanks, Doc.
Thank you. My Monday will improve now, I hope.
No doubt, mate. No doubt.
It's going to be interesting to hear the Palace fans' reaction towards Oliver Glasner the next home game against Chelsea. And I say that partly because Archie's texted in. He says, I don't want anyone at my club that doesn't want to be here. See, but that's the thing. I tried to bring it up there, and the hypocrisy in me hasn't lost on me, because I'm of the opinion. Like, see, you get players, for example, Jeff. They can become a bad egg in the dressing room. This, that, and the next thing. It's very difficult to keep a player that doesn't want to be there. But if you've got a manager that doesn't want to be there, dear me, that's a problem for Steve Parish. And does that in any way hasten the potential exits of Mateta, maybe Munoz, and maybe Wharton as well? They're under the control of a manager they know is not going to be there next season. I don't know. Interesting times at Palace, but probably not if you're a Palace fan. Coming up, we'll ask Ali what punishment he would hand out to Senegal for walking off the pitch last night in the African Nations Cup final. That's next.
and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How did you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Good morning, at 9:49 on Monday, January the 19th. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with me, Jeff Stelling and Ally McCoist. Headlines this Monday: the legendary Spurs boss Harry Redknapp's told talkSPORT Breakfast it's time to end the cycle of sacking managers and focus on recruitment rather than getting rid of Thomas Frank. Lisandro Martinez has hit back at comments by Paul Scholes and Nicky Butt, mocking his size, and dared the former Manchester United duo to come to his house and say that. And Alli's LA Rams secured a nail-biting win in Chicago to beat the Bears in the NFL playoffs and follow the New England Patriots into the conference championship. So, for a place in the Super Bowl, you've now got the Patriots against the Denver Broncos and the LA Rams against the Seattle Seahawks. Both Sunday, January the 25th, both live on the talkSPORT network. And with Super Bowl just around the corner, talkSPORT is giving you and a friend a chance to experience it live. You've got till Thursday to enter for the chance to win tickets to the Super Bowl on Sunday, the 8th of February. Flights to San Francisco and back, 3 nights accommodation and spending money.
Do you know what I love, Jeff? I just love the fact that they've acknowledged defeat and they've taken out the greatest show on earth due to your blatant refusal, understandably, not to say it, mate. Good for you. Now, in just a few weeks, you could be soaking up the Super Bowl atmosphere and exploring San Francisco. Here's how to enter.
For your chance to win, just text the word WIN, W-I-N, to 83338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate.
Yes, or indeed you could call 0343 418 7260. That's 0343 418 7260. Lines closed this Thursday at 4 p.m. That, of course, is when you will have to answer your phone if it rings 18 plus, UK residents only, Jeff.
This is a network promotion, full T's and C's at talksport.com. So for your chance to win, text WIN to 83338 and do it right now. Right, let's finish with a bit of this.
Ask me. Back to McCoist! The goal's been coming, and it's supplied once again by Alli McCoist.
Chop, 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 chop. I just used to chop it back over the net.
Hi there, it's Shaun Derry here. You're listening to the Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast Show.
Can't it be a bit AC/DC, man?
But the football ground at sea. Pardon me.
I'm saying a mongoose. Yeah, but it's
like
a mongoose-like creature. It might be the mongoose, in fact.
Marvellous! You've got no idea.
I used to be quite well respected in footballing circles.
So ask me.
Yeah, let's start with AFCON in Ask Ali, shall we? And what happened afterwards. Remember that Senegal, having had a penalty awarded against them just before the end of regulation time, took their players, with the exception of Sadio Mane, off the pitch in protest. Now, earlier this morning, African football expert Gary Al-Smith told us that was completely unacceptable.
For Senegal as a team, the fans, and then the coach, all of them going to be slapped with super hefty fines and it has to make a statement, I think. Yeah.
So, look, I mean, obviously punishments. The problem is,
yes,
what sort of punishment can you mete out now that the trophy has been determined? Senegal have gone away as AFCON winners.
Well, it can only be financial, can't it? I mean, do you ban them from the next tournament? I mean, if it happened earlier on in the tournament, you've got one or two other options. But from where I'm sitting right now, and I'm no expert on it, Jeff, I think the only thing punishment you can give is a financial one, unless it is a ban or some form of punishment in the next tournament.
Well, I think that's the point, isn't it? That they are the holders, so it would be significant, wouldn't it, to ban them from the next tournament? But maybe that's what should happen, because who's to stop other sides now following, in their footsteps?
Yeah, and you're right in the respect that whatever happens now, you're going to set a precedent, right? So if you don't do anything and somebody else does something, you're going to find it very difficult to punish them. So I do take that point. But if you do something now and it is a fine or it's a ban, at least everybody knows the rules now moving forward. So something has to be done. I personally think banning them from the next tournament would be a little bit strong, Jeff. I do. Something, it would certainly prevent teams doing it in the future. I take that point. But for me, just a little bit strong. But something has to be done, because, I mean, the scenes were, they were embarrassing, actually, more than anything. They were a letdown to the tournament itself and a little bit embarrassing. So, from that respect, I think a punishment has to be served. What it is, we'll have to wait and see. But I think a ban for the next tournament would be just too strong, mate.
Okay. Wayne Rooney says Man United's younger fans got a taste of what it was like under Alex Ferguson during their 2-0 win over Man City, and hopes it's a glimpse of what to come over Michael Carrick. I mean, look, Coisty, it's one game.
Of course it is.
But goodness me, there were a lot of positives, weren't there, for United?
Well, I tell you the positive, the biggest positive, was their energy and desire and willingness to play and run about and play for each other and play for the team and play for the club. That was what was glaringly obvious to me. There was a spirit and a work ethic and a desire that I hadn't seen for a while, to be honest with you. And when you get that, two things will happen. 9 times out of 10 you'll get what you deserve, but 10 times out of 10 the fans will accept what they're seeing on the pitch. And it was a great performance. It really was a fantastic performance from Manchester United, albeit we're talking about 190 minutes. But credit where it's due, they made a City side, I think, look very, very average. The problem they've got now is maintaining it, because that's the level, not necessarily the level of result that they should be getting every week, but that's the level of commitment that they should be given every week.
Which begs the question, why weren't they giving that level of commitment in the months under Ruben Amorim?
The much maligned Ruben Amorim must be sitting there saying, where did that come from? Now, I'm not talking about the performance, I'm talking about the level of commitment to play. I thought the level of commitment to play was a lot higher than anything I've seen from United recently.
Yeah, I thought Bruno Fernandes, Harry Maguire in particular,
outstanding.
Absolutely outstanding. Amad Diallo as well on his return from AFCON, absolutely brilliant. Can they kick on and do it week in, week out? I've got one text I want to finish with here from Mark P, who says, after that day in May, I'd back Oliver Glasner till the end. Our fans are quickly forgetting what he's given us. He's been sold so far short by the board, from the failures to get into the Europa League to a pathetic summer transfer window. This was a time to push on as a club. We stood still, and when you stand still, you're actually only going backwards. Interesting. Those are the thoughts of Mark, slightly frustrated Crystal Palace fan. So, Coisty, what are you up to the rest of the week?
I'm back down. I've got a couple of good games this week. I'm in the studio tomorrow morning with Gabby. I'm looking forward to that. Then I'm at Tottenham, Dortmund, and then I'm at Marseille, Liverpool, Jeff. And then the big one on Thursday night, watching the Rangers.
Oh, lovely, lovely. You get the glamorous trips. Me, I'm off to Hartlepool tomorrow to meet the new owner, Landon Smith.
That'll be great. You'll be looking forward to that, though.
I am, and I might bump into my award-winning son as well while I'm up there. So, and then on Wednesday, we're back on tour again. Bianca and I were in Burnley on Wednesday, Fleetwood on Thursday, and Bromley on Friday, while you're swanning it off to Marseille and places like that.
Brilliant, mate.
Couldn't
I'm
be a
sure
bigger
you'll have a good
contrast.
time, though.
So, Ali, nice to work with you today, mate.
Enjoyed it,
you're
mate.
back tomorrow with Gabby from 6 o'clock. I think a lot of people will look forward to having a word with Gabby after Villa's
Correct.
defeat this weekend. Don't miss that as they build up a huge night of Champions League football. Up next, you'll get more on the Palace situation, much more, with Simon Jordan and Jim White. Why are we playing this, Ali, apart from the fact that it's absolutely brilliant?
I'm not sure why you're playing it.
What's happened, Chris?
I don't know, Jim.